Hello and happy Starfield launch day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and folks, we are going to be talking Starfield for the next 2 hours. I know I stayed up way too late for an old man. I was there at 2 o'clock in the morning, wondering whether or not I should put my controller down and get ready for the next day because I had to be up at 6. So I got 4 hours of sleep, got up, had a great breakfast, took Mrs. Boom to work, and been playing Starfield for the last 2 hours. I got about 6 hours invested in this game. I'm just about to hit level 7. I did my first really big pointed mission, and it was something out of the original Alien. It was terrifying. It was awesome. Something very big was chasing me, even into some rooms. It was amazeballs. But we are going to open up, unfortunately, on some souring news because, well, IGN did what IGN does, at least IGN US. Dan Stapleton obviously took it upon himself to take a giant steaming pile on not only Starfield, but the entire Xbox community because he has and holds a position in IGN that is very high. A lot of people are asking the questions of why someone like a Ryan McCaffrey or a Destin Legary, who are, I don't know, Xbox guys, didn't do the review. Now, granted, I have a great affection for Destin. I really do like his work. Obviously, I'm not going to get into it, but I don't really agree a lot of what Ryan McCaffrey says these days because I used to be a big fan. He kind of changed. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he is an Xbox guy for this big conglomerate, and he should have done the review. Now, I know there's some questions of, it's a big review and maybe they didn't have the time. You see, if you're going with that, I have a problem with that because this is the biggest Xbox game of the year. You make time. You find the time. You are a conglomerate. You are $1 million conglomerate that has millions of subscribers and people that tune into your stuff. You have to make the effort the same way you would for a big Nintendo game or a big PlayStation game, which we know that they do. And again, I'm not going to be disrespectful because that's not the kind of content we do here. I am going to say my thoughts of what Dan Stapleton is to me is a kid with a magnifying glass burning ants. That is what he is. This is the same guy, and I have some quotes from some of the things that he has said against Xbox. But let's get into the introductions. Let's welcome our guest, Silent Cypher, brother. How you feeling?
Hey, Boom. Doing great. I don't know if you know it, but we had this really cool game come out yesterday, and I've been spending a good bit of time in it.
What game could that be?
It's not Star Citizen. Sorry to get
It's by that
everyone's hopes
indie
up.
team, right? That AAA indie
By that
team.
indie team. Yeah, I mean, according to some folks' reviews, you'd think it was just $10 slapdash cash grab, but
Yeah.
no, I'm doing good, man. I'm stoked about talking about this today. I'm excited that all of us have gotten to kind of tool around with this so far. So yeah, let's get into it.
Well, listen, brother, I appreciate you being here. Obviously, this is a big show. This is the Starfield release party. Hopefully, we're going to have a lot of people tune in and check us out, and we have a lot to get into. Another a good friend of the program, Web Dave. You're joining us. You got a chance to play. We're going to get your hot takes and your hands-on impressions. Of course, not only of what you played, but some of the shenanigans that went on with the reviews. Now it is sitting at an 87 and an 80 and 88 respectively. Those are great scores. It probably should be sitting at high 90s, like 91, 92, maybe even 95.
Mm-hmm.
But we did see a lot of people take some shots at this for the point of just console war, and it's very disappointing. We're going to get to whether or not Microsoft needs or should respond the same way Sony would. How you doing, brother? Welcome.
I'm doing really good, man. Holding up well.
I know.
So,
you gone through it. If you didn't know, folks, his mom did pass away, and I asked him not to come here today, and he wouldn't have it. He said he needed to get his mind off some things. And of course, our condolences to you, Dave.
Oh, thanks, man.
Obviously,
Thanks,
you
man.
know, it's sad, and you're gonna go through it because I did last year. But when it's somewhat expected, it still hurts, but it's not sudden. So at least
Right.
there's that.
hmm And I'd say there's no better place to be to heal than with your friends, man. So
Well,
that's
we appreciate it and we
and
love
this
you, brother.
community is amazing. And so thanks for all that. But no, man, I'm looking forward to this. The salt is real. There's a lot
It
of
is.
pain in the PlayStation universe. And it just keeps getting worse for them. Yeah, we get a big win and they get their prices raised, but that's okay because it's just the way it is. But I'm looking forward to talking about it. This is a great panel, and thanks, Boone, for letting me be on today. Love it.
No, thank you for joining us. Crispy Bomb, the running narrative is you can't spell ignorant without IGN. And unfortunately, that's not all IGNs, because actually some of the other IGNs that are affiliated with the here gave good scores. Talk about it, brother.
Oh man, I believe somebody from the France subdivision there was like kind of surprised at the main IGN review. So that is always interesting. All I'm gonna really say right now is that the stands got a lot of rest last night, apparently, because they are out in full force. And I say ignore them. Go play the game.
Yep.
Enjoy it. Stay away from Twitter, or go on there just to look for people that are enjoying the game and maybe get some tips and tricks and all that and have fun with it. Because, this game is a lot and I
It's
don't know
big.
when I'm ever going to beat it. So we're going to get into it.
This is and again, this is, talking with Kay Asante, talking with Everborn, talking with a few other people, my brother specifically, Mental. For us, at least, and I'm sure they're going to get into it on the Gaming Circle podcast tomorrow morning. This is, I don't know, man. Maybe because I'm just a big old nerd, but when I'm playing this game, Fuzzy Belvedere, I feel joy and wonder, and it's almost the same feeling of like a Mass Effect meets a Fallout, and then you can throw, because everything and that's the thing. One of Dan Stapleton's complaints, and why he said he docked it points, was they don't tell you anything. But IGN gave Elden Ring a 10 out of 10, and I had no idea what the hell to do for hours. I was like, what am I doing here? Now, granted, he is correct in saying so, where they don't tell you a lot of stuff. But this is not a hand-holding kind of a game. You gotta dig your toes in the sand. You gotta touch grass on this game, so to speak. Fuzzy, how you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling great. Glad to be here with you guys. I've stayed off of Twitter because I kind of knew the narrative was going to be they were going to score this lower than Jedi Survivor and come up with a whole bunch of excuses that they praise other
Jedi
games
Survivor
for.
was broken.
Yeah.
Broken so bad I stopped playing it.
But hey, that game was a 10 and places are giving this a 7, but we'll definitely get into it because man, oh man, I can't stress how probably lack of sleep I have right now.
You seem a little tired, brother.
But yeah, this game is everything that I expected and hoped for as far as a sci-fi adventure, kind of
Yeah.
more along the lines of Star Trek kind of adventure. But yeah, glad to be here with everyone. Yeah, let's get into this.
We're gonna rip the Band-Aid right off. We're gonna get right into it, and of course, obviously, we're gonna talk about it, and we're gonna get into why we're here to celebrate the launch of Bethesda's biggest game in 25 years. Dreadpool, good morning, brother. The big question of the day isn't and hasn't whether you played or not. It's what you had for breakfast, because I know that I had homemade French toast, Mrs. Boom, delicious with a giant cup of coffee. I am effing raring to go. How you feeling, brother? Good morning.
Oh, good morning, everyone. Yes, I had to work last night. I had to sit there on my way at 8 o'clock as everybody's jumping in, and unfortunately, I saw that people were having issues logging in at first, but
Yes,
I
there
was
were some
watching.
issues.
I
Yeah.
was bouncing back and forth between watching people streaming from this channel to that channel, just trying to support everybody because everybody was streaming. And I was like, man, I wish I was one of those guys streaming too. The FOMO is kind of real.
It's
You know how bad it is. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is.
listen, now
Or it could be
you're
this bad.
dreadpool and out of space, kind sir. I love
Could be
it.
this
I
one,
love it.
right? But
I
yeah,
like either
I
or,
had
either or.
on my way home, I had to stop off at, we'll call them Doken, and grabbed a glazed and a coffee, and that's been my breakfast. So
Hey
it's a
man, sometimes as long as
simple
it goes down
sugary.
the pie hole and fills you up, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, that's all it was hurry up, get home, get some sleep, and then jump on and get some gameplay. And yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
good
gonna
enough.
say
It's good enough I had to put this on my back in my screen. So yeah.
well, listen, this is the game I think everyone's been waiting for, but let's get into the controversy. I saw Xboxer Mike said that he unsubscribed from IGN yesterday. And listen, I've been unsubscribed from them for many, many years. They have really fallen off a cliff with me, not just because of the Starfield review. It's been the anti-Xbox rhetoric that's been going on. And I talked about this on one of the shows this week. How you know that there's a bias is what they put out on Front Street, folks. Right now, let's take a look at this. Again, I'm an evidence-based kind of a guy. Actually, I'm a former police officer, so you need evidence to put people behind the bars, right? That's what we do. When you look at their PlayStation podcast, as it should, it's filled with PlayStation gamers who enjoy the brand for what it is. And that's smart work, right? Putting your best foot forward. The Nintendo show has people that are fans of Nintendo that really, like myself, like you would think, oh, it's Starfield. I play Animal Crossing with Mrs. Boom every day. Like there isn't a day that we don't play together because I really do like Animal Crossing. But then you look at Podcast Unlocked. Now, obviously, it is run by a veteran of the company. Whether you like him, you hate him, you're somewhere lukewarm. Ryan McCaffrey is an Xbox guy. Has he said some things that I have an unbelievable distaste for? Sure. But he's an Xbox guy. Destin Legary, Xbox guy. But it's the one show that doesn't have a steady 4 people in the seats because it almost feels like an afterthought. Now, if it's a 2-man show like I have on like Xbox Xvlog Live, and I had if I ever moved to a co-host, let's just say, and that's what you were getting, I wouldn't put a PlayStation guy there because it would hurt the brand. We're here to talk about Xbox, and as we should as consumers first, when Xbox makes a mistake, we don't harp on it. We point it out. We get out there on Front Street and say this is not the way it should be done. So when you look at the way IGN is handling their 3 partners, and see that's the thing. I think this goes over the head, and I want to go first to Silent Cypher on this because he's our special guest. They are partners with Xbox. They are partners with Bethesda. And I'm not saying that they should give a game a 9 that doesn't deserve a 9 because they have a vested interest in a partnership. That's not what I'm saying, and I would never suggest that. What I'm saying is what is apparent, what is right out there for us to look at and talk about is their bread is buttered by PlayStation. It's a fact. Every time they have any big game sponsored by PlayStation, they say it right in the corner or they even say it themselves. I get it's a business, but at what point does anyone call this out for what it is? People in Bethesda have to be scratching their head when you look at the scores. Now, obviously, let's give credit where credit is due here. Patman Jones, great friend of the show, put out a tweet yesterday that of course I responded to. And he says very simply, IGN Japan, 10 out of 10. IGN Spain, 10 out of 10. IGN Brazil, 9.5 out of 10. IGN France, 9 out of 10. IGN US, 7 out of 10. With the guy twisting his lips, which I love to give. Now, to be fair, Miranda Sanchez responded to him. And listen, I know she's got she's great girl, great media personality, nothing negative to say about her, but I do disagree here. She does respond to him and says, "We're not a monolith. Might be good to read a few and see what people did or didn't like." Now, I'm going to say this to Miranda. I love the work that you do at IGN. You're definitely one of the good ones. There's no doubt about it. But this is a bad take. This is a bad take because Dan Stapleton, in his review, which it was long just to be long, and I have quite a few points I will bring up during the conversation we're going to have. I'm docking points because they don't tell you what to do in the game. But this is the same conglomerate, Silent, that gave a game that tells you absolutely nothing what to do in Elden Ring a 10 out of 10. If we're going to be consistent, let's be consistent about things. I have some quotes from Mr. Dan Stapleton. I will get to them in momentarily, but let's get your hot take on what happened with IGN, because I know GameSpot. I know there's a couple of outlets out there that I've never heard of that gave it like a 58. This is console warring. You know, I think we need to see receipts if people are playing these games. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that this is a perfect example of how the industry and specifically Metacritic are broken. But let's get your hot take, Silent.
You know, honestly, with all the things that you've already covered, I don't know where to start in regards to like just how out of touch it feels like they are at this point in time. Or I guess it's not that they're out of touch. They know exactly what they're doing. You know, you don't have to go that far back to look at this behavior being a constant trend for them. You look at Cat Bailey a few months back. I'm sure people remember that debacle, coming out and blasting Microsoft for stuff. And in the meantime, you started seeing chats from someone under the IGN user profile in chats saying, "Oh, well, these games," like I think Cat Bailey even staged, she's like, "Well, these games will come out and they'll be good and blah, blah, blah. There won't be any issues." I mean, they're not Microsoft after all. Of which you're like, "Oh, okay." So then you drill in, you see where she's at in the company, and you're like, "Oh, so you're one of the people who makes these decisions as to
Yes.
who goes on these different jobs." Okay, cool. Then we skip forward. You know, you flash forward a few months. You flash forward to just a couple days ago when Stella's out there
Yep.
making ludicrous comments as well. And you're just like, okay, why are we doing this? And then she comes out after the pressure comes on, falls onto her and says, "Horrible take, blah, 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 bad take at a bad time." No, it wasn't a bad take at a bad time. It was a bad take at any time. But
Right.
you chose to do it
Right.
because you're shill.
And she locked her account.
Yeah, and then you locked your
Like a
account,
coward.
just like Cat
Yeah.
Bailey did when
Sorry.
she made
Sorry.
a comment and chose
Yep.
to be, incendiary for the sake of being incendiary.
Yep.
So then you get to Dan Stapleton stuff, of which if you look back through his history, and I know the folks on here on the panel know his history pretty well, but if folks in chat,
It's-
if you're not too familiar with him, look back at his review history. Look back at the guy that gave what Prey, I think, was a 2 out of 10 for him.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I think the thing that blows my mind about IGN coming out and blasting something like this, IGN US will specify. IGN US. How many Soulsborne games and all that type of stuff has come out over the last bit? Did they give Returnal a really, really, really low score because it didn't handhold you? Any of
No.
these Soulsborne games, any of these hard games, I don't know what game they're playing because I feel like I was being handheld quite a bit at the beginning of Starfield when I started this game. Maybe he didn't play the same game. I don't know. It blows my mind
Because
how obvious they have made themselves with this situation. And it's something that I keep going back to is if you have them as a follow, if you have their links, if you have subscribe on YouTube, hit them where it hurts. Unsubscribe to them. Don't give them the
yes,
clicks. Don't give them the attention that they want, because all they are doing at this point is being incendiary for the sake of being incendiary. Now, like Boom said, there are good people there. There are your Destins.
there are a ton of good people there. I mean,
Yeah.
It's not, you can't throw everybody under an umbrella and be like, yeah, they all suck, because that would be
Yeah.
rude and would be a lie.
The unfortunate thing is that some of the crappiest people are the ones making the decisions as to who's doing the coverage when. Because if we were calling this fair and we were doing it the right way, like you said, put a Destin, put someone that's Xbox interest to play that game. Because who's going to play Starfield? People who like those type of games and like the
Yes.
ecosystem. Why would you throw someone into the deep end who gives zero craps and in fact has a history of coming out to try and attack the brand?
Yes.
Why do you put that person on it unless your only goal is to have a smear campaign and try and get a bunch of clicks just because you're being negative? That's just my personal opinion. I think it was a very unprofessional way to come out and do something like this. And yes, people can have their opinions, but you need to check your bias at the door if you're going to do a review.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, why we have you on the mic, Silent, I want this to be clear, folks. I really want this to be perfectly clear, because I'm sure someone in the chat that is pro Sony is going to be like, well, Boom, that's their opinion.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about being honest with your review. Now, I have to agree. I'm only 6 hours in. Maybe this game falls apart in hour 60, based on Rand's review. Rand Althor 19, Mr. 100K almost. He gives it a 9 out of 10, and he gives the story a 10 out of 10. And it started out slow for him. For me, I'm like, man, I didn't start out slow for me. I had a mission, which no spoilers here, folks. That was something right out of Alien, the original 70s Alien. Like, I was sweating, and it was great. It was my first big mission. It was incredible. So it didn't start out slow for me, especially when they throw you right into the ship combat. You're out there, you're fighting in space. It's just great.
Yeah.
But, when you look at, and you brought it up, his history, really what I'm trying to gather my thoughts here on Silent Cypher is that it almost seems like he put himself in a position to do the review when there are other veteran Xbox players that would and should have done the review, that would have given it the correct review. And again, this is the thing. Don't get it twisted. If the game is a 7, it gets a 7.
Mhm.
Folks, if you've played the Silent, you've played it. This is, I don't understand where a 7 comes into this.
Listen, Boom, and this one might be incendiary too, and I apologize, but as it turns out, I'm not hired by one of these companies to give out a official review for everyone to go off of.
Right.
I think the title menu alone is definitely higher than a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So there's that for some of those folks out there if they enjoy that. But no, it's immediately as you jump into this game, you can tell within the first couple of hours that this thing is a highly polished product. You look around, you roam around. I don't like 30 frames per second in a first person scenario. These guys have managed to make it feel decent. Which is no small feat, because 30 frames per second, when I've played first person shooters in the past, it always made me feel like, oh,
it's
God,
like a slug. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that they do it in here, and the fact that, I mean, it's not a Doom type of game, and even in the frenetic combat, it doesn't hurt when you're at 30. So they did a really good job at making this thing play smooth. But you look at everything and it is a extremely polished product. This isn't a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I like, and again, go back to the whole hand holding thing, right? Like they hold your hand pretty thoroughly at the beginning. I don't know
Yeah.
if maybe he was watching Netflix on one side and he was texting on his phone and he was listening to music
Well,
at the
you don't
same
have a
time, so he
vested
missed the
interest in what
cues.
you're doing. Maybe that's exactly what happened. Maybe he was missing the cues on what
Could
to do,
have.
because I didn't miss any cues, and I know what I'm doing. So
I will give I will give one moment, and this is just me being a dum dum because I was involved on looking around everything around me, right? We got into that little that chamber at the beginning where they ask you to put your helmet on.
I didn't know what to do. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, man, how do I
Yeah,
attach my helmet? Like
right,
I had to this, and this is just what I missed.
right.
I know what you're talking about because I
Mhm.
missed what they said, because it kept
But
saying like press the start button to get into you. I'm like, what am I
yeah,
doing here?
but
Yes.
that being said, like even in that moment, like I fiddled around with it for maybe a minute or two, and I was like, okay, I
Yes.
must have been an idiot, and I must have missed a cue or
I
something.
was looking around too. So
And then, like, when you talk to the person, they're like, "You need to put on your helmet." I was like, "Oh, duh. Okay, yeah, I just need to put on my helmet and we'll be good." And I put it on and good to go. And the thing is like there's plenty of hand holding. Like I said, if he missed it, he must have been multitasking. But in regards to putting someone like him onto a review like this, the thing is he is of senior level at this place.
yes,
He
he's
works with
top
the
dog
Cat
there.
Baileys, he works with all those guys. And again, given his history on this stuff, I bet he was like, "Oh, no, I got this. I got this. Don't
Yeah,
put someone else on it who could actually put out an objective review. I
right.
got this."
Yeah. It's
That's gross.
disappointing, but it again, it shouldn't sour your gameplay. Go play the game. It's on Xbox Game Pass. Most people, I think it would and this is crazy. This is how I know this is how you know it's gonna break records. In early access on Steam last night, the top concurrent number was 243,000. That's people that bought the game. That's people that bought the $100 edition. Just FYI. Crispy, I want to go to you first because where the alarm bells go off, and I know you're gonna get like you're on a piece of meat. Being that you're a butcher, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying, and just keep shredding it like like a hound dog. You know, they know that they did something wrong when they try to justify the bullshit, pardon my French, with an emergency spaces and an emergency podcast unlocked. But it doesn't even end there. And this is where it gets almost to me embarrassing. They put out a tweet. Look, we gave Forza Motorsport 5 a great score. We love Xbox. Are you effing kidding me? Like, for real. So, before I hand the mic over to you, I'm going to read you the tweet that I responded to Dan Stapleton. And I said, trying to justify an extremely poor review of Starfield by Dan Stapleton using the Forza 5 review as proof you like Xbox isn't the answer. It is a cop out at best. When Dan makes claims that the below post, when Dan makes claims like the below post, which I'm going to read for you right now, it's very hard to believe that there's no bias at the company. So here's one of his dumb quotes. And he says, unless you own Microsoft stock, there's no reason to cheer on acquisitions like this. Talking about, I believe it was, ABK. The studios that have been making, no, this might even be Bethesda. Studios that have been making games, making multi-platform games will now be focused exclusively on Xbox and PC. That's good for Xbox, not good for consumers' choice. But of course, this is the same bozo that, of course, would cheer on Sony, locking out content left, right, and center, and Xbox players saying, well, we just don't get the content. Oh, but that's okay. It's PlayStation. They're the market leader. They're allowed. But this is, again, here's another quote here, and this is where this is the bias, folks. He says this: if Microsoft planned to release games like Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 on PlayStation 5, Phil would have said so already. And this is where he stars it. There will be anger and backlash when they formally are Microsoft exclusives. So I think he's just avoiding that negativity until after the Xbox Series X and S launch. I mean, it's here, folks. It's in black and white. I'm reading it verbatim. He literally starred the word will. And here we are these years later. Starfield is an exclusive. I don't know. And I said this yesterday. Some people actually booed me over it. Oh, I say if this was a PlayStation 5, this is 100 out of 100. If this is a PlayStation 5 exclusive, like it was supposed to be, because Sony wanted to lock it up and Microsoft was like, F that, we're buying the company, this would have been a 100 out of 100 for IGN US. What are your thoughts on what happened yesterday, man?
If it was anybody else, I might have been all right with it. You know what I mean? But this dude clearly has a pointed view of Sony does no wrong and Xbox does everything wrong. I mean, I was actually surprised he only gave it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was going to be like a 5. And the worst part is that you have other sites that are subdivisions that are 2 points higher. That doesn't make any sense to me. So, he clearly has a disdain for RPGs, apparently, because I'm sorry, it basically, the game starts out the way you would expect if you've played a Bethesda game. I don't know. Maybe you decided that this game didn't hold your hand enough. Do you want a linear story that just brings you on linear corridors, or has a map that takes 5 minutes to get around? You know what I mean? Because, I debunked that right at the beginning. I was like, I could walk forever and I don't want to. I mean, let's be honest here. And yeah, I mean, the game, once you get to a certain point, kind of lets you do your thing. And that's what we want. Let's be honest here. If McCaffrey played it, he might have given it a little better score, but we don't expect a whole lot from him either. I mean, when they take games that are multiplayer and decide, oh, we're gonna have a score for the single player multiplayer, I called foul then. And somehow I was still subbed to their channel, which yeah, that's not happening anymore. And I called for my Xbox fam to say enough's enough, because you kind of rolled all over Xbox for the past 2 months. And you expect us to think that this person of all people is going to be unbiased? And then to top it off, you decide to double down and defend and put out emergency things and use Forza Horizon 5 as some kind of justification?
Isn't that ridiculous? That's like something a child would do when they get in trouble, right? Like, your kids get in trouble and they do something like, well, don't look at this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's one
of those things like, hey, the coin's over here. No, it's really here. And it's like, dude, you guys know you screwed up. I guarantee they lost a couple thousand subs, because I wasn't the only one that was like, dude, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I give people the benefit of the doubt, to my own fault. And even like Boom has said to me, like, dude, I blocked that guy a long time ago. And sometimes I get a little gratification, like, hey, you're actually using your brain for once and not the plastic box war. But that's besides the point. The point is you don't have somebody. I mean, he's a senior. He shouldn't be doing reviews anyway, in my opinion, anymore. He's been at top brass for a while. Why would you, Destin, all these guys, they got the code early. Why don't you, at least take their feedback or something? Because you don't sound like you really were into the game to begin with. I mean, we're out there like, man, like, I don't even know what to do half the time. Like, I'm only on this one world. And then you go all the way back in the map and you're like, whoa, there's a lot to do. And I think that's why some of these reviewers are like, dude, you might want to just go with the story first. You know what I mean? Like me, I was expecting this, and I may never beat this game because it's so much, and I haven't even scratched the surface yet that I don't understand where his logic is. And the worst part is that when you review games that don't hold your hand at all, one bit, and give them astronomical scores, yet you are telling us that is part of the reason why you took points off, and you said it in your own words. That makes no sense to me. It's one of those things that you look at it and you're like, why did you allow this person to review this? Oh wait, because he makes the decisions half the time anyway.
Well,
He's
you
one of
said
them
something
people.
in the green room. I want you to reiterate because it was your words, and I don't want to take it for it. But
It's a hit piece.
Yeah,
it's a hit piece. Another hit piece. They've been on a roll for the past 2 months. It is.
I would say,
hit
you know
piece.
what? Again, okay, Crispy, just add more fuel to this fire. Listen, I'm not going to get twisted. I'm really enjoying it. It is everything I could want in an Xbox exclusive. It is a banger. It has, the camera is amazing. It gives you the Sony third person up close over the shoulder view. It gives you the traditional third person view. It gives you a fantastic first person view if that's how you want to play. There's nothing wrong with the game. When you look at what IGN has done in the last, I don't know, let's say 2.5 weeks, they had all of those instances where they left Xbox out as a platform for some games that were even launching in Game Pass day and date. And that was a big deal. And what happened? Matt Schofield comes out and like, well, you didn't really uncover a conspiracy. And we got it wrong, and I apologize. But then it happened 3 more times after that, like the same exact thing. And then, of course, you get Stella going on a rant, and whether or not you consider it to be pointed or preemptive, normal people have an opinion. They go to Twitter. We use our 140 characters. We hit send. Sometimes we add a GIF to it. That's what a normal person does, Crispy. What someone who has a stake in making Xbox look small, as Phil Spencer would say, goes, and this is what Stella did. She gives her a definition of what she is about to say. If you're trying to explain what you're going to say before you say it, you know it's wrong. I'm going to tell you that right now. You know that it's wrong. She goes and opens up a Word document, types out this long thing, takes a screenshot, makes it nice and tight, and adds it as a photo to explain that these are her valued opinions, which, of course, they're not valued to me, and that she's never played the game. And of course, now we have this. Come on, folks. I mean, the breadcrumbs are as big as Volkswagens. You can see them. Like, this is ridiculous.
Boom. I love the fact that she prefaces it too, right? Now, I haven't played the game. It's just like what you were saying also, right? Is like when someone comes out and's like, now I'm not a biased opinion, but ...
Yeah.
That's similar to being like, well, I'm not racist, but ...
It's ridiculous.
It's like
when the minute you see that, immediate
prefaces.
racist. When someone says that they're not, they are. Sorry.
Yeah, as soon as someone says something like that, they preface the conversation. You know where that conversation is going.
And the worst part of this is that she wrote it as an article, basically. And you're sitting here telling me that this isn't a hit piece. This isn't right before. Oh, it's bad timing. Oh, like you didn't know that to begin with. What, do we have to tell you? You're not a journalist, apparently. Apparently, you have no editors when you put out videos and stuff because, everybody just ignored the fact that Xbox's logo wasn't on there for these games. They're actually coming to Game Pass, too. Like, come on, man. Like, and you're telling us that we're crazy, but yeah, you keep doing it. So who's the one that's crazy? It ain't me. Sorry, I'm done. Like, I've had enough, and I challenge everybody. dude, there's better sites. Kind of Funny's pretty good now, and I used to think they were biased. I'm sorry, they have turned a corner. I almost feel like some of these guys that have left IGN is exactly because of this. I don't even think they're paid anymore. I think just everybody at the top is a Sony shill and wants to just sit there and beat down Xbox until no end. And
Yeah.
we got no problem taking some heat, man. Last year was brutal, okay?
Yes.
But we owned up to it because that's the way we are. And you know what? This is where I go and say, when you see things like that, like what Stella did, and you say, okay, well, would you have me, who hasn't played any of the Spider-Mans, go and review Spider-Man 2? Or should I just bash it without even playing it? And, you know, you go and say, oh, well, you know, this dude's not really an Xbox guy. That doesn't mean anything. Well, you know, I would trust Boom's review on Spider-Man 2 before anybody from IGN.
And I
I'm
would
just
review the
saying.
game like a fan, because even though I'm an Xbox guy, you know, I don't have you know, I can't freaking wait for Spider-Man. So if I was reviewing it, I could say that I platinum 2018. I'm one trophy away from platinum Miles Morales. You could trust my review because I'm going to give it to you because I played the games.
And that's all I'm saying. Like, this dude comes out of nowhere and it's just like, I'm reviewing it. And we haven't seen this dude do like a ton of reviews because he's up at the top. He has other people to do this. This is why they pay the other people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's done his review stint and it should have been over, but it just feels like he's just like, no, this one's mine. And then I'm
Yes.
going to lambast it
Yeah,
and make it
like
just,
he bullied his way into the position, pushed everyone out of the way. No, I'm going to handle this. And like I said, if you read his review, Crispy, it's very long. I read the review. I clicked on it because I needed to have context to what we were going to talk about. I wasn't going to be like, oh, I read the title and did. I read his review, and his review is very long. I'm going to be honest with you. And at some points, it seems like it's long just to be long. So he can say, well, look, I wrote this long review. It's 3,000 words. I count. Whatever, dude. Listen, I want to bring in Fuzzy Belvedere. Fuzzy, a good friend of the program, Pixelbit G, just put out something that is incredibly relevant to this conversation. Pixelbit G, I love you, brother. Thank you for doing what you always do. He tweeted where he says, IGN reviewer, obviously Dan Stapleton, complains about there being no map in Starfield. Now, it's incredibly important for me to break this down in context. Dan Stapleton gave Fallout 4 a very, very, very high review. Now, there is a map in Starfield. When you're on a planet and you move it over to the top left and you hit the A button, it brings up your map.
Mhm.
When you're having a planetary view, you press show me, you press Y, and it shows you where you are. It is literally identical to the map in Fallout that you get on your Pip-Boy. I'm just saying that if we're going to be legit, let's keep it at least consistent. You give Fallout 4 this magnanimous review, and then Starfield comes out, which by leaps and bounds, graphically, aesthetically, the points to detail, it's bombastic. It is magnificent. You give it a 7. Like, if we're going to keep it a buck, let's keep it consistent. Let's get your hot take on this, man.
Well, just a bit of background so everybody knows where I'm coming from with Bethesda games, at least for their studio games. Like, I'm a big fan of Prey, or I guess you could say technically Prey 2, since it was like the reboot version that Arcane did. But never played Skyrim, never played Elder Scrolls, had no interest in them because I'm not really into high fantasy games. Tried my best to get into Fallout 4, several tries. I can't stick to it. It's just, I liked the idea, but it just wasn't the right game for me. And there was a little bit of a fear that this might be the same case, but I'm a big sci-fi nut. I'm also big into zombies as far as zombie movies are concerned, so I figured Fallout might kind of fit that niche as well, but didn't do it for me. This game is well above a 7. Like, I purposely pulled up like GameSpot's review of Jedi Survivor in comparison. And I'm going to be honest with you, as much as I liked Fallen Order, it felt like a chore to get through Survivor. I wound up putting in the 30 frames mode, which still had issues. Could not do it in performance mode. And this was like prior to the more recent patch or whatever. I kind of basically forced myself to finish the game or roll credits in the 30 frames mode because I was kind of pissed off at EA for releasing that crap. And as much as I'm a Star Wars fan, the thing that cracks me up is that it was so predictable. I didn't even want to play it past like the first 2 missions when you're on that planet and you wind up crashing that I guess like the equivalent of the Lord's spaceship or something, or whoever's the governor or whoever in that region, because I knew what was coming. It was so predictable. It was annoying. And that's, I guess you could say that's the way some Star Wars stuff is, but this one I saw it from a mile away, and I thought it was an 8 still because there were improvements over the previous Fallen Order, but it wasn't a 10 out of 10, not even close, in my opinion. This is already at a 9 with some annoyances that the mini map thing would be nice, but it's easy enough when you have the marker, which shows through buildings, and you can adjust the opacity of it and whatnot, but it's easy enough to kind of figure it out, or it will direct you to like the subway, or it will direct you to, the elevator that you have to go to if it's not within like, exact walking distance kind of thing. So the mini map, not the biggest of issue, but the one bug that I had was a menu bug thing, or like a tooltip that stayed on the screen until I, completely shut down the game. Like I did a save, stopped the game, left it running in the background, then, reloaded that save, and the menu was still there. Closing the game altogether, got rid of that menu. And that's kind of annoying thing, because having an OLED, I don't want that to, it doesn't really burn in, but it leaves like that. It wears on, I guess, the light in that area, even if you turn down the lumens on it. But this game is a 9 to me easily, even with the nuisance of the one menu glitch. The menus themselves, or not the menus, but like the inventory is a little, I won't say convoluted, but it is a little bit tricky compared to a lot of other RPG games that I've played. But once you get used to it, it's fairly easy. It's just a matter of like if you're trying to give specific weapons or armor to like some of your companions, it doesn't exactly tell you how to do that, but it's easy enough to figure it out after a couple of tries. The rest of the game is everything I expected. Yes, there are loading screens. It doesn't break the immersion for me, but it is one of those things you kind of notice after this generation, where loading screens is kind of a thing of the past to some extent. But considering the scale of this game, I wouldn't even dock this game for having loading screens, because they're not. It's like 3 seconds or 6 seconds, as opposed to
It's very
some
quick.
other titles that don't have loading screens. And it's like when you look at things like Anthem, as much as I enjoyed Anthem, that thing had like 1 minute loading screen. So 3 seconds, 6 seconds at most, that's not a 7. I honestly think when it comes to IGN at this point, everything is intentional.
Yes.
Let's start with the Xbox not being on the videos. Okay, if it was one time, no big deal. But even Jasper, who was one of the ones that the one that made the post about it, was saying that this isn't the first time he's seen them do that. He just
Right.
figured, let me bring it to attention. Maybe somebody is asleep at the wheel or something, kind of thing. And then the guy comes back with snarky comments like, "Oh, it's not an anti-Xbox conspiracy." Like, he posted it so in a manner that wasn't like, "Haha, you guys effed up." No, it was like, "Hey, on your most recent video, a couple of these examples are not showing the Xbox, logo. Just figured you guys, might want to take a look at it. And that was it. It wasn't like it was, for console war or anything along that lines. It was just a matter of, misinformation going out there. And I think the main thing that he was pointing out were the ones that were on Game Pass. It's like, you're not even going to list Xbox at all, even though it's going to Game Pass day and date. That seems a little shady, almost like Sony paid you not to do that. But the fact that they did it a couple of more times afterwards, that tells you it's intentional. Because if it's called out and the guy that's supposed to be in charge and saying that his script showed that it was corrected or whatever, and then somebody slipped up, how do you do it a couple of days later? And then again, a couple of days later? Anybody else? Like, I worked for a company where if you're that much of a screw up when it comes to something that's online, they could cause your suppliers to cut supply or break, some of the contracts or deals because you're screwing them over as far as the, paid advertisement or the listings for the products. You're out the door. Like,
Yes.
once,
Yep.
let's have a sit down. This is your verbal warning.
Right,
Second time, this is the written warning. The third time, don't come back. Don't come
You're
back.
out.
Yeah. You see you bye. And the fact that doesn't happen, like, I'm not advocating to get people fired, but come on. What are we doing here? Like, seriously.
Well, there's something to be said about hurting your partner's bottom line. That's the thing, folks. I wanted to be clear here. It goes beyond my box is better or I'm being paid more on this end. Microsoft, Xbox, and Bethesda are partners with IGN.
Mhm.
And it is IGN, and it's supposed to be in the best interest of your partners to put your best foot forward. That is not what happened here.
No.
Dan Stapleton has been caught numerous times. I read 2 of them. Does anyone remember the hot mic incident where he was bashing Xbox like in a horrendous way, and he didn't realize his mic was on? Like, that's a guy that's actually got caught involved in the console war. Now, listen, there's some people going to have some really, more pointed takes on whether or not this is a paying issue. Like, but Sony, they have paid people to give good reviews, and when you don't give them a good review, you are blacklisted.
Yeah. No, but with the one lady from Xbox or Unlocked or whatever, I stopped watching that after the whole McCafferty with the Tomb Raider versus Final Fantasy. The double standard on that one, F off. Just seriously, like, you're going to be an Xbox content creator, a fan of the brand, you lambaste them for the 1-year exclusivity, but then when Final Fantasy is doing the same thing with Sony, you're all for it. F off. Just like, get out of my face. But like with the one lady that, like, I knew something was up the minute, like, who goes on Twitter, writes a novel, takes a screen cap of it, and posts it while still posting, I guess, the maximum limit of their characters for the app formerly known as Twitter. It's like, you have this much to say about a game that you're not even reviewing. Who asked? If you're not reviewing the game, like, are people asking you what you think of, Starfield? I don't know.
I don't think
It's
anybody
either
was.
it's for engagement or it's for maybe something behind the scenes, because it seemed kind of suspicious. Like, oh, go ahead and put that tweet out there so that way it kind of lets them know, or so that way when we do a 7, there's not like a riot in the streets or pitchforks and whatnot.
Well, they knew there was going to be a problem because they did an emergency spaces yesterday. They did an emergency unlocked for 2 hours, and then on top of that, to put the cherry on top of this shit Sunday that they're trying to sell, they turn around and say, "Oh, look, here's our Forza review from 2 years ago. Look, we like Xbox." A review from 2 years ago.
Some don't smell right.
Yeah.
There's nothing more fishy that doesn't pass the smell test than someone coming out and doing an emergency recording afterwards, being like, "Yo, just a heads up, like, you know, we were in the right on this, and everyone else is there like, we've got his back. This is good. This
Yeah,
is
it's
like
Oh, like
it's
Linus
gross.
Tech Tips.
it's what you guys talked about earlier. It's literally
Yeah.
like, oh crap, something happened over here. Look away. Look, go over here. Over here.
Yeah, go. Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
yeah. Dave,
But
let's bring you in on a conversation. But before I do, man, there is 20 super chats and member messages. I
Yep.
want to catch up at least 10 of them,
Oh,
and
do 'em
I'll
all.
catch up on the other 10. Drawn TJ drops the first super chat of the day. Says, "Hey guys, I'm here. I'm at work. LOL. Starfield is amazing. Damn, that's sorry you couldn't get off today. So you can just play Starfield all day. That's what I'm doing. This is going to be a 2-hour show, and everyone's going to get out of here to go play their Starfield, especially me." Tom from Toonami drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Just finished my character, Captain Johnny Rico. Good for you, man. My character's name is Achilles Savage. That is my character's name. I did spend a significant time on that character design. He kind of does look like me. It's creepy. Tempest Sun has been a channel member for 47 months. Good friend, great friend of the community. I consider him to be an extension of my family. He says the attention to detail in this game is unbelievable, and I'm only 4 hours in. Also, playing on very hard makes you sweat. Shed some weight while you play." Raiden Blade drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, "I have decided to play Starfield today instead of yesterday. I had to work today, but I have a 6X Monster Red Bull Rockstar, all energy drinks, 72 hours." Yeah, you're going to probably eventually need some sleep there. Sapo drops a very generous $5 super chat. She says, "I was expecting IGN to be adults about this. Maybe I was expecting too much. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Again, some IGNs did their due diligence. As a matter of fact, even IGN France kind of came out and was like, what? You know, that's their own people." Raiden Blade drops an additional £2 super chat and says, "I'm not petty, but time to downvote Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna really enjoy Spider-Man 2. I'm gonna give it the score that it deserves because I'm a Spider-Man fan. I played the other ones to death. I really love Insomniac. I love what they do over there. I mean, I see your point.
Yeah, but I'm petty, but I still have ethics. I wouldn't do that.
That's for me. I have a high moral compass,
moral.
folks, and
I wouldn't do
maybe
that.
it's to
Yeah,
a
don't do
detriment
it.
of my
better.
decision making. But I'd rather go the high road than the low road. I see what I know you're upset, brother. I hear you.
Yep.
Jax82 drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "I went to IGN for a lot of game reviews and not anymore." And that's a lot of people. You're not the only one. Gerald Mack drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "I'm right about 5 hours. You got me nervous about that mission. You just you just had Mr. Movement. It's let me paint the picture. No spoilers. You land on this planet, right? It's dark. It's at night. It's pissing raining. Lightning's going on. And you're walking into a shitstorm when the base is just wrecked. And all I'm going to say is that something big was chasing me the whole freaking time. And it was something right out of Alien. And it had me nervous because you think you could run into like the rooms and get away. But no, because these rooms have very wide doors. So whatever it was that was chasing me came in after me. And I was running for dear life. And I did not have my jetpack leveled up, and I was shitting bricks. I will tell you that right now. And that was mission 1. Take it for what it's worth. I will say this: gameplay advice, boost up that jetpack. Gotham Guy, very good friend of the program. Wow, my God, dude, he drops a monster super chat of $50. And he says, "Hey, Boom, I couldn't believe he gave Starfield a Madden score. But then again, I shouldn't be surprised. And yes, Microsoft should do something. Thank you for mentioning your first mission because I love Ridley Scott's Alien. Can't wait to play." This is, you can call it a trope. You can call it it is right out of Alien. Like not Aliens, not James Cameron, which is a fantastic film, one of my favorite films of all time. This is right out of Alien. Jax82 drops a very generous additional $2 super chat and said, I had a problem jumping to Planet in Starfield. One of Dan's complaints is that they don't tell you much. And to be fair, I'm not agreeing with him, but they don't really tell you much. You do have to keep your eye on the prize when they're talking, because they do kind of handhold. But sometimes, like even jumping to the planets, no one tells you, like when you're gonna warp, you gotta go and use the directional pad and lower your shields, lower your boost, and then boost up your warping. No one tells you that. And if they did, I missed it, so I kind of just figured it out. But yeah, it's very Elden Ring in its way. But Dave, let's get your hot take on this. You have very pointed opinions. This is like Crispy said, a hit piece for sure.
Yep.
And it's very unfortunate because even though the game is probably going to sell well, Dave, even though there are going to be millions of people playing this that bought it and in the Game Pass, when you put a score in the United States, a stinker score of 7, and we know that this is not coming from a place of legitimate journalism. This is coming from console war rhetoric. This is Dan Stapleton is the same guy that dressed up as Kratos to talk shit about Xbox. Let's call it like it is, Dave. What are your opinions on what happened yesterday, man?
Well, Dan Stapleton.
Who the fuck is that guy?
I like you said, his bio, his past reviews, his stand, it speaks volumes. It really does. And it's and I'm not saying anybody that doesn't give the score a 90 or higher is wrong, but what game are you playing? So I'm thinking this. I mean, I played it a couple hours now. Absolutely amazing game all the way around, and it's clear that he was a hit piece. It's a absolute. Crispy called it right on the nose, a hit piece. But that's one of the reasons why I absolutely do not turn to IGN for any source of gaming information, and that's when I found your channel, and that's where I come to get an open opinion. I mean, we have for preferences. Everybody does. I get that. But him as a quote-unquote journalist should put that on the shelf and look at the game for what it actually is and the achievements and the amazing gameplay. And, oh, my God, you've been playing this game for years. Easily. And like you said before, generational game. It is. And if you don't see it, it is so crazy. And I mean, you can tell that there's a lot of people that are heated about it. I mean, you had one of the biggest dumpster fires, J-Dub, the king of the ponies. He was in your chat earlier, and of course, Boss Mod Lethal Papa.
No, I got rid of him.
Yeah,
the
good.
Boss
Just
Mod usually would let people stay like that. Listen, J-Dub, if you're listening, I know you weren't here to be a friend. I know you weren't here to be a community member. People that are going to come here, and this is what it comes down to. It's not me. I care about my. There's nearly 700 people here.
Yes.
They're here because they want to have a good time and they want to discuss things. If you're going to come to the chat, you're allowed. The freedom of speech reigns supreme here. But when you're going to go out of your way to be a bit of a D-bag, we don't stand for that. I'm sorry. I don't owe anyone anything. If you're going to come to make trouble, you're not welcome on this show. And if I block you, I'm sure he's writing a tweet right now about how Mr. Boomstick is X, Y, and Z. Listen, what you see is what you get here. I'm not protecting me. You can call me a jerk. You can call me every curse word in the book, and it's fine. I've heard it my whole career. It's life. It's when I see people in the chat starting to fight with people in the chat. I can't have that. People come here to hang out and have fun. You're going to be a jerk. You're going to be ejected.
Yep.
Sorry.
No. And that's why I bought it up. Boom, I call you fair and are willing to listen to somebody else's opinions.
Thank you, sir.
And to me, that speaks volumes for your character. and the lack of his. So, with that said, I just it's very disappointing when somebody clearly comes out and does it. And IGN, like I said, like you all have said, that there's so many great people on staff that are good and have good intentions, but they're under this umbrella of the the Sony engine, and that's clearly what it is. I mean, Sony is definitely trying to downplay this as much as possible, and probably one of the reasons why they dropped the information about their price hike, which goes in effect on the 6th, is because a lot of people are going to be focused on Starfield. Maybe they can kind of sneak this news in about their price hike, and it's a big one, and that people are going to be, and I guarantee you that's probably one of the reasons why they did that, was to just kind of, well, just put this out there, and it's like, oh, you didn't know a price hike? I must be on Starfield, So and guarantee you that's why they did it. Smart on them, I guess, but Boomstick and this amazing panel aren't going to let them get away with it. So. But yeah,
no,
but
I mean, I think
sad.
we're going to be fair about it. I think that's what we're here. We're having a conversation now. We're going to get into our experiences in a second, but we got to get Dreadpool's hot take on this. Dreadpool, obviously, you saw what happened and unfold yesterday. I mean, again, it's the evidence or the points of contention, if you will, are out there to prove that this is not only a hit piece. There might even be something on the back end on a financial situation, right? Like, and again, I'm we know that Dan Stapleton has said, well, show me where I've gotten a check and I'll quit the business. Shut up, okay? Because we know it's a business, and we know you're partnered with Sony. We know that they butter your bread. And listen, we know you don't like Xbox because you told us. It's not like Dreadpool. I'm making the suggestion. Poor Dan Stapleton. We're attacking him because he gave a bad review, and we shouldn't do that. He has told us, and he has told Xbox that he doesn't like them, that he doesn't want to play games on that platform, that his preferred platform is not going to get a game, and there will, with Stars, be ramifications. So he basically told us that he's not a fan of Xbox. Now, his review, if the game is a 7, then it is a 7. That is what it is. No one is suggesting that just because Xbox is going to own ABK or they have a lot of money, they should be owed anything. If they put out a shit product, everyone on this panel and in this chat, and there's 700 people, should go and say that's a shit product, Boom, and I will agree with you. That's not the case here, because I don't know what game he played. And again, he apparently played for a long time. I am going to tell you this, Dreadpool. And this is one of those instances I want to punch myself in the face, because he tweeted something that I didn't take a screenshot of, and he changed it. Now, I don't know if anyone in the chat could find it, because it is the internet. He had put, now that I've powered through my review of Starfield, I can move on to something else. Now, in that, and I don't know, I usually send these things to myself because I could use them as talking points. I cannot find it for the love of Joe, and that's my stupidity. That's why I want to punch myself in the face. But when you say that, now that I've powered through my review of Starfield, I can move on to something else, suggests that it was a bother to do this review. And I'm not overcomplicating or overthinking it. That's what it says to me. Let's get your hot take on this, man.
Okay, so we already know that this guy's a clown. He's already expressed it himself, right? That he cannot be biased, or unbiased, let's say. And actually, let's look at it the right way. He can't even be a proper manager in the position that he's in to give the best person to review this game. We've talked about this before. Don't give somebody that plays Madden a racer. Don't give somebody that plays racers an RPG. Don't, you know what I mean? You don't do that. You give the best person that's going to know the genre, that's going to know this, that can actually give you the proper information, right? Opinions are opinions, that's fine. But give us the proper journalistic information that you're supposed to. Give us the proper information about this game. You know, if you're into this type of RPG, this is the type of person that this is for, and this is how we rate this, right? This is what we do. If you're into racers, you're going to want to know from someone that's an experienced racer that knows what they're talking about, right? So when you do that, now you can properly say, here's my opinion on it, and be able to go from there, because you've already stated the facts of what this type of racer is, or what this type of RPG is, or this type of first person shooter, and so forth. That person knows that style of game and is the expert in those style of games, right? And someone that's not been in, let's say, in the trenches for a while, and has decided to take this upon himself when they've already shown that they are biased, right? This is what's going to come back at you. This is going to come back at you. And unfortunately, you have to have, I don't know, your support staff stand up and support you and say, oh, no, they mean well. They really do. They know what they're talking about. I support them because it's their job.
Yes.
We do the same
Correct.
thing. We
Yep.
do the same thing with my boss. You know, we heard my boss sucks, and we're like, no, my boss is good. He doesn't suck. You know what I mean? And we've heard other things from above, and they're like, we're great. And we're like, no, you guys suck. Our lower management is great. Our upper management sucks, because they're telling us stuff we don't care about, trying to get us to be as concerned or as invested as they are in this part of the business. That doesn't mean crap to me, right? So think about all this with the bias. Okay, I have not listened or read or anything from any of the Xbox sites, right? The Iron Lords, I love the guys dearly as brothers. They are good friends. I've yet to even watch or read anything from them about this. Same thing with Rand, same thing with Colt, same thing with anybody else that's put anything out there. On the Xbox side, I refused to listen to it or watch it or any of that information, because I know that they are hyped for this, and it's nothing against them. I'm going to go back and listen to it later to see what I feel after playing the game.
Yep.
Okay. I am more interested in the water cooler talk. That is where you get more of your honest opinions from
Yes.
people that don't look into any of this stuff, because they are vested into doing, you know, a review. They have to, like, watch their words on how they say it to be as proper and unbiased as possible. Okay. Same thing with the other side. The other side is just pure hate on this, because they are anything that can get clicks, because they know we will look at it and read and say, hey, this isn't right. You're wrong. And unfortunately, this is what IGN is doing, at least on the US side. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but on the US side, it's always been about clicks. And you know, if we can throw some hate here and there, we'll get the clicks. And this guy knows it.
Very
You know,
disappointing.
that's why he's doing this. He knows that he's let's just call it a pony. He's, you know, he's one of those guys. And you know, we're going to throw out the Xbox tax and go from there, because if
Yeah.
it was on the other foot, we've already said this, if it was a PlayStation exclusive, we already know that this would have been a 10 out of 10, no issues.
Yep.
Tears of the Forbidden, what is it?
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, Tears of the Kingdom is nowhere near as good as this. You know, it totally different game, but yet we're going to compare the two. And just like you guys were talking about some of the other games that hold your hand and don't hold your hand, you know, we got into that chamber. I did the same thing, and I was like, okay, I get this. I had to figure out how to get into my inventory
It's a Bethesda
and
game.
put the helmet on.
Yeah.
This is part of Bethesda exploration. This is part of it. I am not a Fallout fan as much as I want to be. I'm right there with Fuzzy on all this. I am not a Fallout fan. You think I would be, and I couldn't get into it. You know, but what the funny thing is, I got into Fallout 76. Why? Because I was playing with friends. That was easier for me to get into and actually have a good time with. It's just, if the game is for you, the game is for you. If the game isn't for you, then it's not for you. And that's plain and simple. But that's why you do water cooler talk. This is why we're here talking about stuff like this now. Yeah, we got to remember, we need to stop listening and paying attention to the sensationalism that they try to do, right? We're not going for the globe anymore, or whatever that's called, as we're going down the register line and looking at all these covers. That's all they're doing. They're just trying to get you to look at it and be like, oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger has another kid. Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger cheated on his wife with the maid. Oh, who cares? That's not affecting you. That's not affecting your life. Why do you care about somebody else's sensationalism when you can just play the game and have a good time with it? And if it's not your game, that's fine. It doesn't have to be your game. You guys already know from day one, this is not an interesting game for me. I have never liked the game. I was never this, that. I was like, whatever. But guess what? The more and more time that we've seen stuff come out, the more it changed my opinion. And that's the thing. You're allowed to change your opinion. You're allowed to do that. And guess what? I'm enjoying the game, right? Because I didn't have any outside sources telling me what I can and can't do, what I can enjoy or am not allowed to enjoy. I don't speak on anything. I threw the joke out there on Twitter that I'm not allowed to say that I'm not reviewing the game, because obviously I didn't get no early access. I'm nobody when it comes to that. They don't know who I am. But at the same time, I was playing around because everybody's like, oh, this guy got this, but this other person didn't get it. Why did this person get it? Why? Who cares? Just worry about yourself. Worry about playing the game and figuring out if it's for you. And you have a good time, good. And then you can talk about it. If you didn't like the game, go to the water cooler and talk about, hey, I'm not a fan of this game. Move on. And then you play the game that you actually like. If you got to wait for Spider-Man 2, cool. Wait for Spider-Man 2. That nobody's saying you can't be excited for Spider-Man 2. But why do we have to, I don't know, waste our time and the whole month? This past week has been all hate about Starfield when you haven't even played it, but you're going to put your opinion piece out there on a game you haven't even played. I can't put an opinion piece on Spider-Man. I have not played it.
What about Paul Tassi responding to this? Like, even Paul Tassi, I like Paul's work. I don't agree with some of the stuff he says, but I like it. I like the way he writes. So I read a lot of his stuff. And even Paul Tassi was like, I don't get a 7, but whatever.
Well, he even called them out on a few other things too, which was even funnier. I was like, oh, I was not expecting that from you. And that's pretty sad when even Paul Tassi calls you out on all this. And that's why that, and again, what I'm going to say to you as a non-Fallout fan, but a Oblivion fan, right? When it comes to that, and you're talking about Starfield, okay, I say it's a play the game. It's not a meh, it's not a nah, it's play the game.
Yeah.
And again,
supposedly he
just
did.
because I said play the game, I don't like numbers, because numbers are subjective. When we know that a 70 is passing, we know an 80 is good, we know a 90 is great, we know 100 is perfect. No game is perfect, but at the same time, when you look at that, I'd rather say try it out. But again, that's my opinion. That's my experience from playing the game and saying but these numbers, I think people get too involved with them as to anything below a 90 is a failed game. It's not a field game.
Yeah,
It's just,
I mean that you are right. I mean, it's sitting at an 88 and an 87
yeah,
for
but
PC versus Xbox. So 88 is quite a fine score. So
and
was an
we know
87 for that matter.
right, and we know when you have a 5-star grade system, right? A 5-point grade system, a 4 is not a bad deal. But when you put it into the 100, oh whoa,
Well, see
that's not good.
that's yeah, and that's where Metacritic needs to change. When you have when their scale is 1 to 100, and you have people coming in and they have a 5-point scale, like Jeff Grubb, for instance, has a 5-point scale. There, I think even like Windows Central has a 5-point scale, which they gave it 4.5 out of 5, which is like a 90. There should be something. Metacritic needs to say,
Well,
hey, listen, if you're going to put your review out on our site and you want to be a part of the conversation, you have to change. Now, for your own publication, keep it the way it is. But when you're going to put it here, that number has to equate to what we are scaling. We're scaling 1 to 100. And I say this for all games, not just Starfield. It should be across the board. All games that are going to be reviewed on Metacritic, they have a point scale system that goes from 1 to 100. Everyone that wants to put their information onto this website needs to follow that course. Everything should have to be uniform. It shouldn't be, well, we're going to use a 4.5 and it equals a 90. No. That's not the way it works. We have a scaling number system. You have to work within that number scaling system, because even when, like, for instance, let's say you're high on a game. Oh my God, this game is so great. I can't give it a 5 out of 5 because it's a perfect score. But my God, it sure is a 4 out of 5. A 4 out of 5 is an 80. That's not a bad score, but that's not the score that you want to give it, because you are stuck in this 5-point system, which is 20 points per star. 5 stars is 100. 4 stars is an 80. But what if you wanted to give a 90? Like, some people don't even have half points. Like Jez Corden has half points, so it is a 90, and that's great. But some other sites don't. They simply have, it's 5 stars, 1 through 5. Each one is worth 20 points. 20 points times 4 is 80. No mathematician here, folks. That's just what it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing is they need to. This is our standard, and this is, you have to conform to our standard.
Yep.
So that way it's uniform across the board, and that, and it is what it is. But again, it's one of those things. That's why I don't look at these numbers. That's why I also recommend most people not look at these numbers. It's not as a big deal. Just see who's actually enjoying the game. If your friends are enjoying the game, people like-minded like you're enjoying the game, that's what matters. That's where it should be. And I understand a lot of companies do use the Metacritic scores because it's bonuses and this and that. So, and that's an unfair assessment of a company when you do it like that. You know, that's not right. It should be the numbers of the game. There should be more. There's other metrics that they can do. I just can't think of them off the top of my head right now. But there's other metrics that they can do to do this, to justify why the bonus is there and why isn't there. Because we already know Square Enix, anything that goes out there, we had a higher standard, and the game didn't just do well. It just flopped. You know, it met below expectations, and it's like, well, of course, if your expectations are over exceeding the population of the whole world to purchase it, then of course you're never going to hit it. You know, not everybody's going to buy the game 2 or 3 times, but that's the way it is. But again, like I said, think for yourselves.
Yep.
You know, use reviews.
Make a conscious decision by yourself. Like I said, reviews are used for a lot of people to whether or not it's going to be worth your money.
Yeah.
You know, listen, trust who you trust. I'm not going to tell you who to trust. If you, a lot of people in the chat, first of all, I got to catch some super chats. My God, there's been so many of them. I want to get to all of them, and I will, even if I have to be here on the show a little after by myself and kind of read everyone's thing. We got to get into the gameplay, because that's what we're here. We're here to celebrate the launch of it. You heard my story. I want to hear everyone's story on it. But before we do, yesterday, Mrs. Boomstick and I received a gift from a very good friend of the show. And he did this specifically for Mrs. Boom. And I got to show you because it's epic. It is epic on a level that's no words. You have to see it for yourself. Now, Mrs. Boom is an 80s kid, obviously, like myself. And she is a huge fangirl of Thundercats. Favorite character is Panthro. It's been one of her favorite cartoons of the 80s. Jimbo Jangles, who's in the chat, who dropped 2 super chats on top of already giving us this gift, made this for Mrs. Boom. This is a custom Panthro Thundercats controller for the Xbox Series X, but it doesn't even end there.
That's
It's
awesome.
the back. He puts Snarf, but he says made for Mrs. Boom.
That's awesome.
Unbelievable work.
thing's
And this is the
awesome.
same gentleman that did my G.I. Joe controller, which is amazing. I won't use it. It's literally just, it's sitting there on display. I refuse to use it. Let's get into the gameplay aspect of it. Silent, what has been your experience so far? Do you have any like wild stories outside of you not knowing how to put on your helmet? Because that happened to me, folks. That really happened in real life. What I mean, because look, if there's something for me, folks, that jumps off the page, or almost automatically, literally the minute the game starts, Cypher, is the graphics. Like it is big and it's in your face, and it's you're looking at the people and you're like, this kind of looks and feels like a Sony game. Like, you know, when you get a God of War or Horizon, you're like, wow, they really know what they're doing over here. That's how I feel about this game. Like every time, regardless of what first person, third person, or the extended third person, when you're on top of some of these things, it's crazy good looking.
Yeah, I mean, God, I don't know. I mean, you already pointed out the helmet debacle, which was definitely the thing that got me the most when that happened. I was just like, man, I'm a real chump on that one. But yeah, it's like you said, it's like graphically, everything that I've seen so far in this thing has been stunning. Like especially as soon as you get out of there and you start traveling around and you start to see like the breadth and depth of all of the visual that these guys have put together. Like it just looks like extremely well lived in some instances, and yet very, very empty, very hollow in some areas, which makes sense, right? Like for the different planets you land on. I think it's that second one, Creel or whatever it is. When you land on that one and you're roaming around, seeing those different plants and the different monsters in the setting, it's cool to see that change of pace from planet to planet. Even just something as simple as like the gravity change, right? Or Crete, yes, not Creel. I don't know why I said
Great.
thanks for that, Taurus, in the chat. But yeah, I even just like the gravity. As soon as I'm roaming around and I'm trying to shoot the bugs on Crete, and I hit that and I go flying up and I see that base down below that you're getting ready to go over to and check out, and you're just like, oh, whoa, this is cool. And you just see a vast expanse out in front of you. It's just, there's a lot of moments in even just such a short time, because I think I've only gotten about 3 hours in so far, because last night I had to go to sleep like an old man. I'm on the mend right now. I'm trying to get better because I got a bit of a head cold, and so I had to hit the pillow a little bit earlier than I wanted to, but I wanted to keep playing, and I will continue to keep playing right after we're done today, because it's the weekend and it's a long holiday weekend. And so I'm stoked to just, jump right back in, continue off where I had stopped last night. But as far as like one instance, one specific thing, I don't have one specific thing yet that's kind of jumped necessarily. I will say the first time that you sit down in the ship and you take off.
Yes.
Yes, I know we're not controlling the plane from the ground up into space, but just the first time you sit there and that music hits and you see your whole display board down there right in front of you, like, it just gives you a moment of giddy joy, right? Because like most of us here, I mean, none of us on this panel, I apologize, I'm not gonna be too negative, but none of us are probably gonna fly a spaceship out of Earth. Okay. Like it's just what it is. And so it's literally one of those moments where when you sit down and you have that experience, you're like, oh my God, this is cool. Like this is neat. I get to travel out of this atmosphere into somewhere else. And it just does such a good job at wrapping you up in the environment, in the atmosphere of the game. So yeah, that's like I said, I don't have one specific moment. I have a ton of moments so far, and I'm only 3 hours in. Like
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Yeah, I'm just about 6 hours in. I've doubled it. I doubled you up a little bit.
Yeah.
I just about to hit level 7. Like I said, my advice, folks, please spend the points to upgrade your jetpack.
Yes.
It's a big deal. It's a big help. Crispy Bomb, let's get your hot take on this. You got a chance to play last night. You got a chance. I don't know if you got a chance to play. What has been your experience with it so far? What jumps off the page for you?
A lot. It's one of those games that you can sometimes look at it and be like, I'm a little overwhelmed.
It does give you that, yeah, for sure.
Especially when Crete, and that's as far as I'll talk about, because I'm about 4 or 5 hours in. I'm about to hit level 5. I had to test some waters, and I got out of the ship on Crete, and this is after I must say the space battles are going to be epic, especially when you upgrade and everything else. You can just feel it
Yes.
already. If you want a comparison as far as what I play, because I don't play a lot of flying games, especially in space, I would say it has the feeling of Reach, in that one part, and it definitely it feels right. And the one thing I'll say is use that D-pad, mess around with it. Grav drive is the one, so that's the one all the way to the right that you need to put all the way up if you need to warp or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
To the next planet, because we've already seen that people have tried to fly to it, and it is very logical in how long it will take.
I kept flying. I'm like, why
And it felt like you weren't
closer?
moving.
I've been flying for 10 minutes. What is happening? I'm boosting. I let it full up. I'm boosting. I'm like, am I doing something wrong here? And I look and I said, oh, let me lower everything down. This is you're like really flying a ship, folks. Like you have to be conscious. If you're getting bombarded, you gotta lower your boost and up your shield. Like this is like happening real time. It's crazy. So I see.
And here's the funny thing. And people, this is what I love about Bethesda. I literally was in a dogfight and I got up from the seat and I just walked in the back and I'm like, well, what's going to happen now? And you just feel like the whole ship shaking because you're getting shot everywhere. And I'm like, see, this is what I'm talking about. I love the fact that you can just do whatever you want. So like I got on Crete and I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to challenge these fools that, invisible wall status. I walked to the right for a good 20 minutes. I just turned, walked to the right, walked completely away from where I was supposed to go. I found another base with all like level 5s and level 6s, and I'm a level 1. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, and there's these giant, I don't know, I would almost say it was like Starship Trooper bugs just chilling in front of it. They're letting them chill in front of it, the NPCs. As soon as I kill them, they start like, oh, there's somebody here, blah, blah, blah. And all of these people and things are way higher level. I don't know if I got into something that I'm supposed to go back to later, but I go over there and, it's funny because they played like they're 5 or 6 levels higher than you. You know what I mean? And
yes,
they destroyed me.
Yeah,
So
I'm
like,
sure. I saw level 5s when I was a 1 and I ran back the other way. I'm like, nah, man, not fam. That's not for me.
So I got into that engagement and I'm like, okay, this is really like, the pistol and all that at the beginning. That's kind of null and void, but I started picking up like assault weapons and stuff like that. I don't know the names off the top of my head, but and I was like, okay, well, first of all, I could feel that the sensitivity of my controller is not where it should be.
Right.
And that's where I say, like, especially if you're going to play in first person the majority of the time, which I mean, that over the shoulder, I'm not a huge fan. I do like that the hip fire feels satisfying.
Yeah.
It really does work. And I know there's like a little bit of auto aim. It's nothing crazy. And at the same time, if they go behind something, like you're not gonna keep hitting them. It's not buggy like that.
No, they take cover, man. Like the AI is dumb. Like for instance, they'll converge and they'll even run around you to try and.
Oh yeah, I had
you.
one flank me, and I had to go and push them because on Crete you don't need the jetpack. You could jump forever. So I jumped over this spot that he was at, and I just came down around him and just lit him up. I wish Bethesda, and this is just me being a gearhead, give me like at least one execution or something. Like it's one of those things like they do go down and you're just like, can I?
They're going to even turn them on the floor. Like they're like, oh my God, I think this is it for me. And they're kind of like crawling.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, it would just be great if I could just, put the butt of my gun against their head and just, do it that way instead of just continually
almost
shooting.
like VATS, like when you would use VATS and it's, you'd hit someone's arm and they just slows down and show the arm flying off. Yeah, I mean, that makes
use the
sense.
hatchet to the face. If they got the helmet on, hatchet to the visor. You're gonna like
there you
that.
go. It breaks, like it shatters, whatever.
They could have done a little more with that, and I mean, this game has endless possibilities, so let's not.
Yeah, the anime rapper says that the modders will add stuff like executions, and I don't doubt that at all.
And that's where I go and say, like, well, I better beat the game at some point, because guess what? People don't think that the mods are on Xbox, but they will be too.
Oh, they're coming to Xbox soon.
You just want to be able to get achievements. That's it.
Yeah.
But and the one thing I'll say is you're gonna get to New Atlantis and be like, wow. I also say you need to take off HDR. They didn't. They're going to probably fix it. I would rather. I mean, the game. All I had to do was launch it a few times and said, "You're too early. You're too early." And I launched it like 4 or 5 times and just kept ignoring the fact that it kept saying that. And eventually, it just launched. I'm sure people wouldn't do that and be like, oh, they just get mad about it. Because I mean, obviously, we've been waiting for this for a long time. I don't blame you at all. But yeah, you definitely, if you are one of those people on the fence, you need to love what Bethesda does. Like me, I'm bad. I pick up everything. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Like I just don't do that. Trust me, because when you become over encumbered, it's not the same as what you've experienced before.
No,
you actually you lose oxygen, your CO2 levels go up. These are all things that happen, and you can run at a normal pace, which I do like. I would rather have this than what I've experienced in Fallout 4, like literally feeling like you're walking through a quicksand or something like that. So I will take this, but you do have to be mindful because you can actually kill yourself running.
Yeah. And it gives you the blackout effect when you do it too. You start to see your screen pulsate.
Yeah. And I had that at certain points because I'm over encumbered and I'm in Crete, in the actual main mission doing the battle. And all of a sudden, like everything gets fuzzy, like I'm drunk and I'm like, oh, I love this. Cause like I could see like everything's turning, the CO2 levels are going red. And I'm like teetering on like, and then like the health packs, they don't do nothing. They only like you have to go into your inventory if you have something and find something that's going to give, some kind of benefit against that. So, I mean, they have thought out so much. That's where I go and say that, if you're going to go, if you just want to play the game, I agree with the reviewers. Go through the story. I'm one of those people. By the time I get towards the end, I want to be a god. Okay. And
Yep.
also, I will say, do not dismiss persuasion. I almost had the Crimson Fleet in the beginning agree with me and actually lay down their weapons. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I went with persuasion, and I think I did alien DNA, which was strange at first, but I felt like some of the other ones like kind of held you to a certain thing. Like there was a couple that really seemed beneficial, but it would hamper you in your space travel, your dog fights,
Yes.
stuff like that.
Yep.
And then it would benefit you on the ground. I want to be as neutral as possible. And I also don't mind because some of the dialogue's already pretty funny. Like I love it because like with the persuasion, I don't know if it's for everybody because everybody's gonna have a different experience. But with me going after persuasion in the beginning, I got the jetpack as soon as I started, got to New Atlantis. Like literally got there and I persuaded them to give it to me immediately. You know what I mean? So like I don't know if that's the same thing that happens with everybody else. That's the beauty of this game. We could talk all day about it, but I'm going to leave it at that. If you like BGS titles, you're going to absolutely adore this. If you love space exploration, you are going to adore this game, and it is going to be 100 in your opinion. I'm not, I have 4 hours. No, there's no score for that, but this is just my first impressions.
Well, no, dude. I mean, the game has you that when you're not playing the game, you're thinking about the game, and like that's fuzzy. Sensei Matrix in the chat says that first space flight jumped out at me. It felt like something out of Star Trek, a movie. I was excited, but it was intense. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, that when you first sit in the chair and you start flicking the switches, and it boosts off, I was like, oh my god, I'll never get bored of this. Like I'll never get bored of seeing the ship get out of Dodge. What stands out for you so far?
Man, one of the things was I forget who I was supposed to rescue or pick up from a planet. All I know is there's like 4 Crimson Guard or pirate ships basically attacking me. And I had it where my what do you call it? My trait was bounty hunter, so I get a little bit of a boost for piloting skills and jetpack. So took out the first 2 ships, purposely just damaged the last one, just wounded its engines or whatever. Boarded the ship. One thing you want to have if you have a companion come along with you, give them good weapons based on what their abilities are. I think I have Sarah as one of my companions on this run, and I gave her like a laser rifle since she has some sort of proficiency with lasers. We get on the ship, and it was weird. It was like I guess they had it bombarded or like the door barred on one side, so I could hear the people. And then we go around this one little L, go up, and then that's where they are behind the door. We're able to get the door open. They're shooting at us. They're ducking and everything. And I throw a grenade and they throw it back. She shoots it with the laser before it even gets near us. It explodes. I guess it pops one of their packs or some sort of canister by their area. So the one guy, you could hear him go, oh, because it like blew up in his face or something. And then he lays down. I go over there and hit him with the hatchet. And then the other guy was like waiting in the corner. He like, I guess he looked over and saw his buddy get chopped in the face. And I don't know if he wanted to run or what, but wound up shooting him. And I guess the captain was like the last. Well, it was like the captain and
That's
like 2 other guys.
Dude. I love it.
In the in the cab. And they opened up the door. They were all trying to shoot. And I forget what it was that they had in there. It was a fire extinguisher or some sort of like chrome canister or something. Shoot that. All 3 of them gone in there, like just splattered. They're not splattered, but like you could see they basically got smeared on the walls, and just cleared out the ship. I didn't take that ship because I did enough damage to it where I didn't want to pay the repair costs on it. But upgrade your ship. I've got about 10 hours in now. Been playing it real slow. I don't even think I'm as far as you guys are. I'm like a level 7 or 8 or something like that. I think it's at least a level 7 now. But I have 2 gold weapons, gold helmet, and gold jetpack. And then I gave some of my companions greens and blues, and one of them purple as far as their weapons. So it's like you just basically have them hold the inventory, and then when they are holding the weapon, you have to like switch back and forth, or at least for me, just switch back and forth between their inventory and your inventory, and then put equip when you're on their inventory for whatever weapon they go with. Like for Samco, maybe give him a shotgun or a rifle. Um, and then for Sarah, give her some sort of laser weapon. Uh, give I forget the one. Well, one of the guys you see early on, give him his rock laser thing, and everything will be good. But yeah, the ship battles are like the biggest thing. Like I'm living for that. There's a few bases that were extremely fun to clear, but I've learned the hard way by being encumbered and then having things explode around you and trying to run away from the explosions. You wind up getting that like shaky screen and whatnot, and it gets all hazy for a bit. So just be careful on how much stuff you carry. Offload it onto Vasco if you can, or put it in like if you already have your apartment or a place to stay at one of the other, like Constellation or something like that. Just put extra stuff there and then transfer it back and forth if you haven't already sold it, or just give it to your crew or whatnot. But man, I can't wait to go back because I got a ship full of people. I got Sam and his daughter, Sarah. I got Brad. I think his name is Bradley. The one guy you have to rescue. I got the other 2 miners with me, and then I got somebody else in the ship. So there's like no room. Only basically 2 people are assigned to the ship, but somehow I got all of them in there, and I got I guess Vasco stays in the cargo hold or something like that. So yeah, I need to upgrade my ship for space now, or more room for people.
Yeah, I just had Vasco and the one lady from the Constellation. That's who I have in my party so far. I haven't. I know that when you go back to the New Atlantis, there's a lot of side missions. I haven't done any. I did a major mission first. Dave, let's get your hot take on it. What jumps off the page for you?
It's just there's so much to do. I mean,
it's overwhelming. Yeah,
you could absolutely, but in a good way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like if you really want to focus on your weapons and upgrading and getting better weapons to get on your different characters, you can do that. If you want to tweak your ship and go more exploring, and you can do that. And just there's story there to be found, or if you just want to explore and just I love it. Maybe not the best descriptor. Fuzzy, I gotta tell you right now, and somebody made a note of it in the chat that you make me want to go back and play even more because of your description of what you had, the little battle that you had. I was like, dude, that was awesome. So yeah, so yeah, kudos to you, man. That was great. It's just it's an amazing game. It's absolutely, it's everything we wanted it to be and more. That is the best way to describe it. And if you're not playing it, play it.
Yeah.
Get Game Pass, put it on your PC. Forget about the haters. Forget about all the other, forget that stuff. Don't miss out on probably one of the best games ever made because of an ideology or some kind of shill pack or loyalty to a brand. You're doing yourself a disservice if you do that, because this game is awesome. Absolutely. Boom, I just want to throw at you that there's 3 member chats and also 10 gifted subs you got too. I put them in the thing for you. So
yes, thank you very much.
They're coming out strong today.
There are a total of 40 super chats, which we're going to get to. What I'm going to do, folks, is we're going to continue with everyone's opinion, and then I'm going to hang back, and I'm going to read every super chat, every channel member comment, while everyone gets on out and goes play Starfield. We're going to hang out 10-15 minutes after the show ends, just so I can obviously give credit and answer the questions that you're putting in the chat. But before I do that, I do want to thank, let's see, we have where is the? Here, let me find it over here. 80s cartoon villain not only dropped a monster super chat, but they dropped 10, and they've gifted 10 Double Barrel Gaming subscriptions. Brother, I cannot thank you for that. That is crazy generous of you. We're gonna get to your super chat momentarily, but I do want to just get everyone's opinion on the game, and then we'll get everyone out of here, and I will hang back just so I can read everyone's super chats. Dreadpool, let's get your hot take on this, brother. Have you had a chance to play?
Yes and no, right? So let's be honest.
Okay.
We already know that I was working all night last night watching everybody play. Even Dusty here, I was in his chat off and on watching them play. But I did get home. I sat down on the computer and I went to turn on the Xbox and I said, you know what? I am too tired to do this. I got to get some sleep. So I went to bed. And then early this morning, I powered it on and I just said, you know what? Let me just get into this. And so I just kind of like went through and then like the optional personality stuff that you guys were talking about, the alien DNA and all that. I just kind of skipped through that. I picked the unknown as my background.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to stick with that because I think it fits me best with none of the stuff I don't want to be associated with. So I think I just stick with unknown. But you know, I got into it like we talked about the chamber with the helmet thing. I was like, all right, again, you know, they want you to explore.
Yes.
This is part of what Bethesda does. Cool. You know, I got into the first firefight. Everything I denied knowing anything happened, you know, all the way to the end until they recruited me onto the ship, and then we had to start the podcast. So I didn't want to be like stuck in the game and not pay attention to the show and the chat. You know,
I agree.
I can't do that to you guys. You guys deserve my time, and I'm going to give you 100% of my time. And you know, but that's the thing is, even what I played, I didn't see anything weird. I backed out to like the third person mode, but further out. When I was in the close up third person mode, I did notice some weird shaky as I was walking through inside the starship, but or not the starship, but on the planet to go out. But it was kind of odd. But I didn't see it like, oh my god, it's game breaking. You know, like some of these people are like freaking out. A lot of the stuff that I saw, even online, that were considered bugs, none of it was game breaking, and it obviously was nowhere near Redfall game breaking, laughable bugs. But that was it. I only saw one little detail that I had to nitpick to find, but the rest of it, I was just sitting there enjoying that. There was on the way out there was a lot of stuff going on. There was, you know, and you had to follow your person. But I did finish the game, you know, in under an hour. Finished the game at the
Good
end.
for you.
I'm gonna spoil it for you.
An hour.
You die at the end. That's all I did. No, I'm kidding.
Nice.
Just I had a good time for what I did. It's got me wanting to go back, and that's the main thing, right?
Well, you weren't a fan of Bethesda games,
no.
and this wasn't on your radar for you to have an interest in this game the way you are is that's
depending
saying
on
something.
The game. Yeah, depending on the game is either if I'm a fan of Bethesda or not, you know. But when it comes to, like I said, the Fallout, I just never could lock into it. But this, again, throughout time, I've changed my opinion and been a little bit more, not just the FOMO, it's been like true interest. And now that I've played it, it is actual interest. I'm hyped for this. I'm loving what I've played so far, and it's very minimal. That's why I said I got to tell you the truth. This is how far I've gotten, and it is very, even with that minimal of time and just, you know, walking around, looking at this, looking at that, running without actually listening to the objective of what I had to do. And I'm like, oh, I should probably listen to the conversation because there's probably something there. But it allowed me to do what I wanted to do and move around. And that's the beauty of these type of games. And that's why it sucked me in. You know, again, do what you want, try it out. if you like our opinions, then cool. If not, then we don't line up on opinions when it comes to this. But again, this is one of those games that I think will have a better outcome than what the media is portraying, and I'm having a good time with as little as I have, and I can't wait to get back into it and play. I'm going to start over and kind of like fine tune,
really like define your character, like take the
that's
time
why I
to
wanted. I just wanted to get in there, fine tune a few things. Like, I didn't think my character looked like me. I think it looked like a French version of me as opposed to the Greek that I am. So it's certain things you kind of want certain things there. I couldn't get my eyes 100%, so unfortunately that
it
is
took me
what
a
it
while
is.
to kind of I kind of had to scale through everything. Like I
Yeah.
took my time with
And
my
it was
characters
just
design.
hurry up and rush it and try to go from there and try to but that was the whole thing. I wanted to get into the game, and then knowing that I was going to stop and kill the character and then start fresh again.
All right.
But again, knowing that, it's not deterring me from starting all over and doing the
Well,
creative
you're
character.
close. You're close enough at the start where
Yeah.
you're gonna lose an hour, maybe two, but
that was the intent. That
right.
was the intent, was to
Yeah.
figure out what I wanted and kind of go from there. But and that's the thing people should take away from it, is the fact that for someone that was never interested in it from the get-go, but happy for my friends to be able to see this game to come out to fruition and play it, to actually enjoying the game and being a fan of the game. And hopefully today my collector's edition will be shipped out.
Nice.
I had to buy it from secondhand, but it has been unopened. So, and it's someone that I trust. And again, they ordered 2, and I said, just keep on the second order in case it falters. Then you still get your 1. But if you get
Right.
2, I pay you for all that and the shipping that you got to ship to me. So I've got no regrets on buying this collector's thing.
There you go. The
And
watch is
the wife,
nice. I got it on right now, literally right now.
see, look at that thing. That's a beauty.
It's really nice.
Have you connected it to the game?
I have not connected it to the game. No, not as of yet. But the watch is 1-to-1 to what you actually get in the game. Like, it's crazy how perfect it is.
And that's what I loved about the old 360 games, like the Fable connection, where you can actually get on your phone and do that. I like breaking that fourth wall where you're live and you can do that. And something like this is awesome.
It is. It's a lot of fun. They went the extra mile. And again, this game should be celebrated, not because it's an Xbox exclusive, not because it's a Bethesda joint. It's the gaming should be celebrating this monster achievement from Todd Howard and his team.
Yeah.
This is a game that was 25 years in the making. And it's unfortunate that it's been marred by, a very negative community, and PlayStation has they're the loudest and they're the most dense when it comes to these things. That's what they do. It's
right.
very unfortunate.
Yeah, that's why I say be a gamer and don't play games on clickbait and all that. Just be a gamer and play games and enjoy it. And if it's not for you, it's not for you.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. It's no hard feelings if it's not for you. Like I don't have any hard feelings with his last Star Wars game. I am a huge fan, and yet Dusty's here wearing Star Trek. I can't believe this, but it doesn't matter. I'm not going to sit there and judge him. I am, but no. But at the same time, I have yet to launch the game. I am not going to play this game because I know it has issues. And I am a huge fan. You think I would have been playing this
game
from
still
day
has
one,
issues,
and
unfortunately.
it still has issues.
Yeah.
So I'm holding back. But that's the thing, is, as a gamer, I'm not passing judgment. I'm not, I'm just, because Star Wars is screwed up, I'm holding back. You know what? I'm a gamer. I'm going to go back and play other games, or I'm going to go forward and play the other games coming up. Eventually, once I see that they fixed it, Callisto Protocol, I'm looking at you because I still haven't been able to finish playing you. But at the same time, it took them forever to fix it, and I'm still not 100% sure that it's actually fixed. But this I've got no issues with. And that's the whole thing. Play the games, enjoy the games, and quit listening to these people that are just trying to grab your attention.
Yes, absolutely. Listen, what I'm going to do, folks, is something a little different. We're at the 2 hour mark. Obviously, I don't want to hold anyone back. Dusty's going to stay behind with me. We're going to get his take on the game. Let him, let us give his opinion. I want to catch up on the super chats because there's really a ridiculous amount of them, and some of them are really bombastic. So, of course, I want to read everyone's, regardless of whether it's a gifted sub or not. Everyone deserves, because we don't do this for money. We're not owed anything. So let's do the outros. Let's get everyone out of here so they can go and play Starfield. If you're gonna hang back, I want to read everyone's super chats and we'll get Dusty's hot take on this. And Silent Cypher, first of all, brother, thank you so much for not only being here, but you donated 5 Double Barrel Gaming subscriptions. That is very kind and generous of you. Please sell your brand of the Xbox International Podcast. And more importantly, where could people find you on social media?
Boom. Thank you so much for having me on again. It's always fun when I get to hang out with you guys on a Friday morning and talk shop a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean, happy to support. And I mean, it's one of those things, right? It's a pass it forward. We had some of the other guys that added some earlier. It added me another subscription. So I was like, all right, let's pay it forward.
Thank you, sir.
I love to see the community, the way that everyone brings each other up and supports each other. So it's awesome. But yeah, as far as where you can find me, you'll find me on Xbox playing a lot of Starfield over the next couple days. I'm bouncing across all the systems just so I can kind of get a feel for where we're at, how it plays on all the different ones. I've got it on PC, the Ally, the S, the X. My son was playing on the S last night while I was playing on the X, and props to him for the fact that it's as stable as it is.
Yeah.
But besides that, you can find me on TikTok, all the social medias, Twitter being a salty sea lord on occasion, because it's fun. Looking for those views, just like one of our Dan Stapleton friends. But yeah, you can of course catch me on Wednesdays as we do Xbox International at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure that you go over to Boom Show that same evening, hang out. You can double screen it.
Absolutely,
guys. I know you can
100%.
I know you can multitask. I believe in you. But yeah, so that's mainly where you'll find me. You'll find me here occasionally on Fridays when a chair is available and Boom wants to listen to me ramble like an old man.
We love the rambling, so you're always welcome.
But panel, it's always great to hang out with all you guys. Love hanging out with all of you. Dreadpool, Crispy, Fuzzy, Dusty. Even though we didn't get to talk too much today, sir, we'll talk more soon. Dave, of course, and then Boom, of course. Thank you again. And I'll probably stick around, but I might duck out here in a little bit.
Okay, brother. Thank you so much for that.
Stay.
Crispy, yeah. Crispy Bomb. Sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can find you, not only on this show, but on Wilmy Hood Show Sunday evenings, as well as find you on social media to potentially strike up conversation.
All right. I challenge the chat. Somebody good at memes and all that stuff. Steve Ballmer, but he said Starfield instead of developers.
That's hilarious. I'd love that.
I want it.
I want it. Really
I don't care if it's different voices.
That would be hilarious.
Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. At Chris Baum on X / formerly known as Twitter, Chris Baum 28 Xbox Live. Find me on Gaming Beyond the Box 7 p.m. Sunday. I'm sure I'm going to have even more opinions after I'm done today, and
more adult opinions maybe.
Might be some F-bombs there. Yep. Put the kids to bed or you have them go play a game. I don't know. And of course, back here on Breakfast of Boom, 10 a.m. Fridays, and wherever else I might show up. You never know. We'll see you then.
Super appreciate you being a part of today's show as always. And thank you so much for the Crispy Bomb rant that we all know and love. Fuzzy Belvedere, sell your brand, brother. Talk about the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. And of course, next month you're going to be incredibly busy because Forza is following the huge success of course, Starfield that were released last night at 8 p.m., at least here in the New York area. Where could also people find you, not only on other shows, but on social media and potentially strike up a conversation with you.
Just want to thank you for having me on, and I want to thank all of the guests on here tonight and everybody in the chat. I'm on limited sleep, so I do apologize. But man, oh man, this game it's gonna suck the life out of
How
a
many
lot of
hours
people
did you say you put in so far? Is it like 10 plus?
Yeah, it's 10 plus at this
Wow.
point. And I'm taking it slow because I want to be a badass at the end. So I'm going to have everything upgraded and wreak havoc on some of these pirates and stuff. But we'll see how that goes. But man, oh man, enjoy this game. Try it out if you haven't already. It's well worth at least a try.
Yeah.
For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere. If I don't pass out before the night is through, you can find me on Xbox Ultimate at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculations channel. And then on Saturday for the Shop Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on PTK Blam's channel. And then right back here for Xbox Lunch Break Special at 12 noon on Double Barrel Gaming. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks again.
Brother, thank you so much. And obviously, yeah, we're going to have a great show. We have a lot to catch up on, not just Starfield news. I mean, there's a lot of Bethesda news, Indiana Jones development news, a certain Bethesda, a legendary IP confirmed to be exclusive, i.e. tune in Monday to find out what that is. No surprise to me, but surprise to a lot of the PlayStation fan base that it's probably going to get review bombed just like this. Web Dave. Sell your brand, brother. Talk about the show you got coming up this Sunday with Retri on the new episode of Gamers Console Podcast, as well as, more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media and subscribe to your YouTube channel?
Thank you, Boom. Appreciate you having me on, man. What a great panel today. It was awesome. Dusty, sorry you woke up late. No, I'm just kidding. I know. Yeah. Take care. Oh, look at him. He's like, I take care of my wife's stuff. I trust me. I get that a lot. So, but yeah, no, thanks, Boom, for having me on. Yeah, we've got an amazing show this coming Sunday on Gamers Council. We have Red Dead Panda, John Wolf, and coming for the first time, Epic Treasure. So it's
very nice.
It's gonna be a good panel. Looking forward to that. Hopefully, everybody get a chance to check us out live. It's 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Sunday here on the YouTubes. And one thing I think would be funny, and for people who are old school like you and me, Boom, is you remember back in the day of Saturday Night Live when they had they had the lounge singer Bill Murray singing Star Wars, the theme, putting words to it.
That's great.
Somebody needs to do the AI of that, but have it Starfield instead of Star Wars. I think that would be hilarious.
It could
That'd be
work.
pretty great.
It could definitely work. There are a lot of talented people. I remember watching that. That's crazy. That's funny. I remember.
It was great. I got it in my head and I can't get it out now. It's like, oh no.
Now it's stuck in my head. Well, listen, Dave, it's great to have you a part of the show.
Thanks, man. I got to jump. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
Go take care of business, brother. We'll talk soon. We'll see you Monday. Last and no way least, Dreadpool, brother, sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can not only reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, talk to you on subscribe to your YouTube channel. Oh, there it is. You can find Dreadpool.
I'm sorry. I was muted.
No, that's all right. Linktree.com/Dreadpool, YouTube.com/Dreadpool, Twitter @Dreadpool or X, TikTok @Dreadpool, of course, or hover.gg/Dreadpool. You can find him on Gaming Beyond the Box, which, of course, is Wilmy Hood's show each and every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, you can subscribe to his YouTube channel, which is known as Breaking Bread with Dread. He has an amazing show there that he has seen some record numbers in the last couple of months. Sell your brand, brother. Talk about it.
Yes. Again, thank you to each and every one of you in chat. I'll stick around if you guys like.
Sure.
So I mean, I'm here for the chat. For you guys to do all this because you guys are great supporters of the channel, myself, and the rest of the guys here. Can't wait to see what Dusty says. Like I said, I was watching him stream, so I wait for this. You're gonna love it. Yes, Sundays at 7, Game Beyond the Box with Crispy and the guys. So Crispy and I get the tag team another show together, and then obviously here at 10 a.m. Fridays, Breakfast Boom, and then Sunday mornings I do the Good Morning Xbox on the what is it, Axel 1324's channel, and also tonight at 7 p.m. for GQ TV, I'm going to be interviewing Connie, which is a paranormal investigator. Think of, ghost hunting. And so we got some, so I'm going to be doing another interview with another paranormal investigator tonight, and that'll be 7 Eastern. But again, I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to stick around, but I love you all, guys. And, definitely share this out. I mean, today was a great show, and it still hasn't ended. So there's more to come. Stick around. More to come. This is not the out.
Absolutely, brother. So listen, everyone, like I said, hang around. We're gonna get to super chats. If you put a message in there, we're gonna answer the question. We're gonna get Dusty's hot take on what he has played so far, what his experience has been, and of course, I'm gonna throw some gameplay while everyone gets out of here in the background. Switch things up. So bear with me as I kind of just try and set everything up. Let's see, where is that? There we go. All right. So listen, gentlemen, Silent, Fuzzy Belvedere, Crispy Bomb, enjoy your weekend, your holiday weekend. This is a great time to play games, and we'll be talking soon for sure. All right. Let's see. Let me get to the gameplay. Let me just throw something in there real quick. Bear with me as I try and just get some. No, I don't want to do screen share. Damn it. No.
I'm going to play some Starfield while we're hanging out.
I mean, I actually recorded 3 hours worth of footage. I just didn't get a chance to upload it. So I'm just gonna throw some Dead Island up there. Throw some violence there.
Always a good game.
Mute that.
No objection. No objection from me.
Yeah, of course. So listen,
nice.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out. Dusty, thank you so much for being here. Let me just catch up on some of these super chats, and we'll try to get at least more than 3/4 the way, and then we'll, of course, we'll get Dusty's hot take on this. Pixelbit G, generous friend. I actually had read his tweet out there where he actually drops a very generous $5 super chat and says he admitted that he put himself on the review. He complained about the map while it's the same map as system from Fallout 4. Torino Johnson drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Good morning, Boom. Just a little support, brother. Thank you so much for the generosity." Our very good friend from Japan, which I don't have the translation, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Do you think Microsoft will continue to give IGN exclusive content from interviews to previews after being a target like this?" And the answer is, I hope not. I know there are a lot of people that says it's not a good idea for Microsoft to do that, but at some point, you're hurting your partner. If you are partnered, and a bad review like that could cost millions of sales. And when your counterparts, other IGN outlets of outside of the Americas, outside of the US, are having these high reviews, and you're the outlier, and you come out with a 7 versus the lowest is a 9. It's a questionable what this should have done for everyone. There's some people in here that actually are doing this. This should be the point. This should put IGN on blast for you. That's what IGN did. They put themselves on blast, and they have basically just opened the door for all of the criticism that they got yesterday. They're going to continue to get today. Listen, if they lose a couple of million subscribers over this nonsense, maybe you see someone like Dan Stapleton walk it back, because I think that's what they're going to ultimately do. I don't think they're going to stand strong on this because they're getting backlash right now, and you should have just reviewed it and been fair. But they're gonna to save face, to save clicks, to save subs, they're gonna take a coward's way out, because that's what cowards do. and they're gonna back away from this. I will not be surprised. Now, maybe if they hear me say this and they're like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Listen, I'm nobody. That's fine. But you reviewed the game in bad faith. You absolutely do. You did. It's proven. Your track record is proven. You've exposed yourself to be actually biased against Xbox, and I really hope at some point Microsoft, or specifically Xbox and Bethesda, respond in kind and don't give them previews anymore. Microsoft does not need IGN. IGN needs Microsoft. Let's make that clear. IGN, yes, they're a big conglomerate. They have a lot of followers, but you know what? When you're going to poison the well the way that they did with giving this game a 7, you don't need that kind of rhetoric. I'm sorry. Gerald Mack, that's a very generous $2 super chat, and says, "Thank you for reminding me. I just unsubbed from IGN," and that's what I'm talking about. Highlander 001, that's a very generous $5 super chat, and says, "All I have seen on YouTube since last night is people playing Starfield. Let's be real. Do you think you will see this for Spider-Man 2? I don't. I think Spider-Man 2 is going to get streamed, but I don't think it's the same kind of a streamable game like Starfield. Starfield is going to hit Twitch numbers like we've never seen before. That at least that's my opinion. Thanaros, generous friend of the program, just a very generous $10 super chat, says, "Boom, been a member of yours for about 4 years, but have to say I truly believe there isn't some sort of bias at IGN. I truly believe there isn't some sort of bias at IGN. That's just journalism, career suicide, especially in gaming." I mean, it depends on what your opinion is on the bias. I mean, just some of the things that I read live on the air kind of proved that he has a distaste for Xbox. He has a distaste for Xbox's business, which of course is what Sony does. But Sony does it in a way that's applauded by people like Dan Stapleton. They'll applaud that they'll lock up a Final Fantasy 16. He'll be down with that. I mean, Ryan McCaffrey himself, who's Mr. Xbox, came out against Microsoft making that deal with Crystal Dynamics to keep Tomb Raider a year exclusive. And he pointed the finger and said, "This is terrible for gaming. How dare you?" But then a couple of years later, forgot that he said that. And he went out and said, "No, Final Fantasy 7 locked up for that's good for gaming. That's good for PlayStation gamers." You know what I'm saying? So it's again, one man's opinion. I get that, but it just goes to show you that the pattern is there. I mean, Cypher said it. Everyone here in the panel said it, that there's a pattern of PlayStation getting preference and Xbox getting left out. Things forgotten.
Yeah.
Let's not mention that it's in Game Pass.
Yeah, let's not forget their behavior the last little while. Like you're saying, this isn't the first time.
Yeah.
This isn't the only time. Stapleton has a history of it. There's a bunch of them that do. Again, like I referenced earlier, when Kat Bailey made her comments online and then blocked, made her account private. There were conversations that were made. This has been a reoccurring theme with them over and over again. When it's Microsoft that's doing something, it's a bad. If it's Sony, it's
Yes.
ingenious. It's the
It's
smartest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
So
It's
like
gross.
I could see how maybe you just think that, like, potentially that person just has a preference or whatever, but the bias, I don't think you can deny that there is a bias there to an extent.
I mean, listen, it's really dealer's choice. If you feel that there is, awesome. If you don't, that's awesome too. I mean, there really isn't no right or wrong answer here, because it's your personal opinion. But Daneros, brother, thank you so much for the generosity, as you have been for many, many years. Raiden Blade drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, "Did Dan even play the game? I want receipts. No proof of gameplay, no review should be accepted. ILP and Game On Daily, please come eat IGN's lunch, please." I'm sure they're gonna have a lot to say. I know Gaz just put his written review. There's no score, but you can tell that he enjoyed the game, but he did have some issues with it. Go check that out. It's on right now. It went live on Game On Daily. Definitely check that out. Spartan661 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, hi, everyone. I'm trying to get off work early so I can pick up my Constellation edition. I have to listen on Latreon my way home so I can play Starfield. Oh, later on. I'm sorry. Later on my way home so I can. Yeah, brother. Thank you so much for the generosity, as you always do. Congratulations on finding one of those collector's editions because they're selling for $1,000 on eBay right now. Giggity08 drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, IGN, when are we getting the Call of Duty review codes? Xbox, get the hell out of here. If you think if you're ever getting a code from us again, I think that actually should happen. Like Hargeet said it. Hargeet Chani, obviously, he's a part of Game On Daily. He's a part of Dealers Podcast on Tuesdays. He's also part of the of the Primetime Gaming Show on Wednesdays. He says that some of these companies need to have that come to Jesus moment. And I think this is one of those situations where if you allow them to get away with this and you don't say anything and you don't question their behavior, they think it's okay. And it is not okay. Again, folks, if the game is a 7, it is a 7. But everyone and anyone that has played this game can tell you that this isn't a 7. Folks, let's do this real quick for context. For Broken or for Spoken, IGN gave it a 6. Are you telling me with full authority and full honesty that Starfield is a point better than Forspoken?
If the shoe was on the other foot, right? If the shoe was on the other foot, think about it.
I just say, can I just do this real quick?
Sure, please.
The 7 of 10, the IGN main, they have more weight than the France and Spain and everything else. Metacritic weights certain sites, and the main IGN, that's why I consider it a hit piece, because regardless of all the 9s that these subdivisions gave, that one weights as much as them. And that's what you need to realize. They did this on purpose.
Yeah.
This would probably be, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the weight is, but Metacritic has said that each reviewer has a certain weight to the score and could have been a 90. I'm just saying, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, Crispy. Juan in the chat drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, the last IGN Unlocked episode now has almost 50% dislikes. I mean, congratulations to Xbox Unlocked for shitting the bed on one of the biggest games for the platform in 2023. You know what I'm saying? It's gross. It's gross, and I don't watch their stuff anymore. And I said it in the opening. They treat PlayStation podcasts with respect because they have PlayStation players. They have the Xbox. They have the Nintendo show that has Nintendo players, but basically, they have, outside of Destin and Ryan McCaffrey being there, there are anyone else on there is a PlayStation player. They treat it like it doesn't matter. And if they're going to treat your brand like it doesn't matter, Xbox, IGN shouldn't matter either.
Yeah. Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
On
Absolutely.
this subject?
Yeah.
So everybody, if you follow me on social media or you're a friend with me as of late, you know how I already feel. It's capital F IGN all day, every day now. Like I'm not trying to start a movement or anything like that, but I am taking my own personal little, like, not stance, but just decision of, like, I can recognize that this company is not worth going to for the information that I need when it comes to gaming news and just having fun with the community that I want to be involved with. That's why I go to podcasters. That's why I go to content creators, because they actually make this fun. IGN makes this depressing. So my thing is this. Somebody tried saying to me, well, but IGN has Xbox Unlocked. No, that's a facade. They were put there in
is.
place to make us all think that IGN cares about Xbox, but they don't. They really don't. It's a facade. It's to get your clicks. It's to get your views. And then when they do stupid things like this, they hope you tune into Xbox Unlocked so they can try to, like, I don't know, whip it around in some different way. To be honest, the expression "speak with your wallets." How does that apply to social media? Your eyes and your fingers. Stop
Yes.
using them in IGN's direction.
Yes.
Well, we saw that with Xbox Unlocked, where I forgot the girl's name now.
Stella got a groove back.
No, the other one. Boom, you know who I'm talking about.
Miranda.
Miranda. Yes, thank you.
Miranda Sanchez.
Yeah, Miranda. She was talking that they only had PlayStation to play games. Xbox sent her an Xbox. It's like, how do you have an establishment like that is
Yes.
supposed to be journalistic?
They're a $1 million
and you have
conglomerate.
somebody that's on there, and you cannot give them an Xbox or an Xbox
Crazy.
code to play the game on Xbox,
Yeah.
and it is an Xbox centric portion of their company. You know, what I'm
Even
saying?
better, why don't you bring your own Xbox from home with your X screen
Well, she
to
couldn't
work?
afford it.
Like,
She couldn't afford it. So, but Xbox gave her one, and now she's playing Xbox games on Xbox. But again,
got you.
You know, when you're a journalist, you know, and at that time she was up and coming still, so she wasn't making much money. You know, don't think that these guys are making 6 figures. They're
Well,
not.
no, in California.
Well, no,
or
I'm not
San
saying that.
Francisco,
But my point to your point was not saying like she can just drop dollars like it's nothing, because even for me, life has been difficult financially, you know. But
Yeah.
but the point I was making was, like, if you're working with IGN and you guys need these certain resources in order to do a proper job, that comment was more of an expression of, why couldn't somebody just supply a freaking Xbox? This is IGN. You're telling me somebody at IGN can't supply an Xbox for this content creator that needs to supply content for your company and for the channel. That's very ridiculous, you know?
Yes, and that was my point.
Yes.
That was my point, that they didn't do any of that. And anybody that's on that specific portion of that channel should have access to those games,
it's just
those systems, to be able to speak honestly, even if it's a multiplat. I don't care.
It doesn't make any sense when you are $1 million conglomerate and you are loaded with PlayStations, you are loaded with Nintendo Switches, but you don't have Xboxes. It's
weird.
It's the same principle.
And then you
as
have
the dude from Tweaktown. He said, I don't want to spend $100 on this game, but I can't give a review on my site crying about not getting a code. Dude, you run a website. What do you mean you don't want to spend $100? This is the entitlement situation. Like, IGN got several codes. You know, their code days need to stop. They need, and I know a lot of people are like, well, boom, you know, it's going to be a bloodbath. Let them complain, because I don't know.
And that's the thing. Colt Eastwood, people got all over him because they saw that he had a Series X and a Series S, and he's like, yeah, I want to be able to test the game on both consoles to see the differences and see the nuances and be able to actually give you a better report. What did Cypher just say? He's got it on PC. He's got it on his Series X. His son was playing on the Series S. So, you know, he's got it on the different formats.
I just updated on the ROG
Ally, the Steam Deck,
and I'm playing it on the PC right now.
Yeah,
like I want to make sure that if I come out, because you know, we do a show too, and it's like, if I throw something out there, I want it to be my opinion, and I want it to be a valid, founded opinion.
Yeah,
some folks don't seem to care about that so much,
right?
But it's also a well-rounded opinion because it's backed up on many different platforms. You know, because anything I'm saying, I've already said it. It's on Xbox. I played it on this. This is all I have to go off of. You have more of a background on other platforms, which gives you more credibility when it comes to, okay, well, on the Rogue, it doesn't work so well because of this issue, or on the Steam Deck, it doesn't work so well because of this issue. You know, PC, there's this DLSS issue that whatever. But you can speak on that. Others cannot. And that's what I think is ridiculous, that people would sit there and criticize somebody for having it on multiple different platforms to criticize that, oh, well, why do you have, well, of course you want the best information that you can give, and then on top of that, based on your knowledge from your experience, here's your opinion, here's also the facts that you've come up with, not just your opinion.
It's all about doing your due diligence.
Yes,
And when you don't
yes,
care,
yes.
when you don't care, and they don't care, no one puts out a 7 and says what Dan Stapleton has said in the past about Xbox. If you cared about the platform, we know that he doesn't. And I got a super chat here from Hargeet Chani, who's probably still in the chat. We'll get to it in a second. Casual K. Now, and I've seen what he said. First of all, Casual K, brother, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the $2 super chat. He says, well, Deathloop received a 10 from IGN when it was a PlayStation exclusive, not when it was an Xbox exclusive. So that's not really a good one-to-one argument, brother. I appreciate the generosity. That was a PlayStation review. That wasn't an Xbox review. I am Asmati drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, tired of the IGN PlayStation snobs. He has also unsubscribed. Game Players HUD Zero drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, boom, I have to say time and time again, I all hate pieces and on sites and socials are about profit, not logic. Starfield has opened Pandora's box. Hashtag Xbox World Order. And this is where Hargeet Chani brings some real logic to the conversation. He says this after dropping a very generous $10 super chat. Forza Horizon 5 review at IGN was done by Luke Riley, who is from Australia, who also focuses on racing games, hence got the proper rating it should have. Dan was in his feels. Watch the episode of Unlocked. Ryan's body language says something, meaning he was very uncomfortable with Dan's what he had to say. Again, you don't have an emergency podcast if you know that you didn't shit the bed, and that's what IGN did with this review. Dan wanted to get his 15 minutes of fame. He did something that I think is going to have ramifications for the company, and I hope that someone. Listen, you can say what you want. Oh, it's a bad look for Xbox. No, it's not. Because when Sony does it, it's applauded. If this was a Sony game and IGN pulled some shit like this, they would never get a code for the rest of their eternity. Because they don't play. And I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying we have seen it. Sony blacklists sites. They've done it before, and people applaud it. People cheer it. This is one of those situations where this is Xbox's biggest release in a decade. And it is big for the platform. And this review could cost sales upwards of hundreds of thousands of copies because some people actually put stock into the bullshit that IGN spouts from the US version of it. And that's all it's done. Not everyone is bad over there, but let's call a spade a spade. What they've done towards Xbox in the last couple of weeks, even the last couple of months, has been nothing short of heinous. And they call it, oh, it's a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's purposely done because PlayStation butters their bread, and that's it. That is it. PlayStation butters their bread, and we know that for a fact. Calorie drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, I got DLSS mod working on the Xbox app version for PC. Well, congratulations, brother. I wouldn't even know where to start with that, but that's awesome. We Robo 2024 drops a very generous 10. No, he's actually been a channel member for 10 months. Says even Dual Shockers gave Starfield a 90.
Oh man, I didn't even know that.
Wow. Crazy G14, who's been a channel member for a month, says last day at work for a week. Yes, good for you, brother. Off on holiday on Wednesday, so going to need to use my backbone to play Starfield by the pool. Happy Starfield Day. So I'm gonna stop right there. We're gonna get to everyone else. Dusty, I want to get your hot take on this, brother. Let's get your experience with Starfield so far. I don't know what you want to touch first, because what we could do is we can get your opinion on the IGN shenanigans. I can catch up on the super chats, and then we can get your opinion of what you've played so far. How do you want to handle this?
That's fine with me, actually.
Okay, so yeah, give us your hot take on the Dan Stapleton controversy, because it is controversy. I put it to this way, and I say this, and this is just the evidence, folks. Dusty, when you know you got it wrong, you don't do an emergency spaces to explain yourself, followed by a 2+ hour emergency unlock, Xbox Unlocked podcast, which he's not a part of, right? You also don't put out for, hey, we love Xbox, because it looks stupid when you turn around and say, oh, here, look at this review from 2 years ago for Forza Horizon 5. No, we love Xbox. Look, guys, look, we gave it a 10. It's stupid, and it makes you look pathetic, and it does put your shenanigans out on Front Street. Let's get your hot take, Dusty.
So I don't know if you guys heard, but if you follow me and you're friends of mine, it's FIGN all day. Sorry, I think I already said that. But my thing is with IGN, this whole thing with Dan Stapleton, I can't even say I'm done. Like, I feel like I've been done with them for so long, but I allowed myself to continue to engage with their platform and their content in some sort of way. And I'm just one person, but we all think that way. I'm just one person, right? So if we all are just one people, well, if you add us all up, we're all there engaging with them. And I'm done with that because I've been done with that. The Dan Stapleton thing was so stupid. It was like, first of all, the initial review was contradicting itself in the first place. Made no sense. So you're saying all of this about the game, but it's a 7? Why are you here right now? And then to try to backtrack on it like later and defend yourself, and then the spaces and everything. Cypher, if you can really quick, I didn't listen to the spaces. I didn't even watch the Unlocked episode. So in a brief nutshell, what did they tell everybody? Like, guys, this is why we felt that way. We promised we were thorough. It's just how we felt. You know, we really didn't mean to disrespect the community. It's just our opinion and our opinion alone. But we understand if it upsets some people. But you know what? This is how we really felt. And we just hope you understand that. But we also hope you understand that we're really, really sorry, because it's not an apology if we don't tell you that we're sorry, but we also try to justify our stupidity.
I'll be 100% honest with you. I tried to watch as much of both as I could, or listen in to both as much as I could. And you can only listen to so much damage control before you just get kind of tired of the rhetoric. Like, the thing is like, I understand a lot of folks. I see a lot of folks in the chat that had made the comment too of like, guys, it's just a number, blah, blah, blah. What does that matter? Personally, for me, I agree. Like, does that number affect my enjoyment? No,
it's not going to affect my enjoyment, but there's
not at all.
There's repercussions.
There's something to be said, Silent. I want you to elaborate on this. You owe it to your partners to put your best foot forward, and that's not what happened here.
We're not asking for 100 either. We're not asking for 100.
No,
we're just asking for reputable work, like for credible work.
Yeah, honestly. A fair shake for the situation given. It's not asking much. It's literally asking someone who does a job, who goes to work, does his job, does it to the best of their ability, then goes home and enjoys video games. I'm just asking the same thing for this group to do. Go to your job, leave your own, like, when I go to work, I leave my baggage at home. Like, if there's something going on, I leave it at home. Indeed. I go in, I do the job. I may not have the same political stance as some folks at work. I may not have the same preferences. I may not have the same opinions, but I go in, I do the job, I go home. And I give you the best that I can because I'm being paid to do so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether they like that or not, they come at it with an approach that is not professional. It hasn't been professional for quite a while. Like I miss the
And
old
that's really
days of
sad.
IGN. Yeah.
That's really sad. Our community needs professionalism, especially when it's these big companies that it can influence the entire community. Like, what is so hard about just doing credible work and putting out reputable news that people can actually flock to and be like, okay. And if your review really was a 7, at least give us an explanation and make it make sense. Okay, if it's a 7 for you, why? Why is it actually a 7, not some BS propaganda spew that we're all gonna see through, but you're just gonna do it anyway because it'll get the clicks. Like, come on, are the clicks really that worth it?
To bring it back to what Boom was saying too, right? Is like he went in and he looked at the article, right? He read the article that Stapleton had, reviewed over that, and I looked at it as well. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you put this time in making this thing, but I feel like you're not really justifying the reason as to why I got the score it did.
Agreed.
So how did you not like write that and then step back for a second, come back to it, look at it and be like, does this make sense? Does this reflect what it should?
That's the same exact question for Stella and her tweet.
Yeah, 100%. It's
the same exact question for Max Scoville and his tweet response to Jasper.
I think I've said it over and over again on podcasts I've been on, I think on my own, maybe even here. But one of my old bosses used to tell us, like, if you're getting ready to send a message out and it's from a heated place, it's from an emotional place because something happened and you didn't like it or whatever, write out that email, write out that text message or whatever, then set it to the side. Come back to it in a little while. If it still sounds like it's a good idea, then go with it. But if for some reason it doesn't jive, it doesn't feel like maybe it's that great anymore, maybe just delete it. Maybe reassess what you're getting ready to put out there. Because these things, especially online, we can screen capture this stuff all day. So if you put out a bad take, someone has captured that bad take.
People got notifications on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like people get these things. It is not hard to take a screenshot and remind people of where they came from and what they've done in the past.
Yeah.
But in regards to like score and their stance and stuff, it feels like it's a lot of damage control because they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar.
Pretty much.
They had a bad take.
Yep.
And the thing that I was trying to say is like, this has more repercussions than just, oh, it's a score. Because a lot of casuals don't look at things the same way we do. They don't go to their favorite YouTuber. They don't do this research. They see a score. If it says game of the year, they buy it. If, like the grandma's not going to go online and search 7 or 8 different videos to see what a score is for a game. If it says game of the year on the front, or if it says 9 out of 10 from IGN or something like that, they look at that, they grab it. Oh, little Timmy's been asking me about this. They throw it in the cart. It's a Christmas gift. But this has more effect than that too, because the score also affects the game of the year contender at the end of the year. If you have a lower score, it's unlikely that you're going to actually get put into the game of the year conversation also.
Yeah, it breaks you out. Here's the other thing, right? We're talking about the credibility because the casuals don't know all this stuff, right? They're looking at numbers, they're looking at this. Their portrayal has an effect on a game. The game could be good, it could be bad, but if they say that the game is bad, then the normies will not be there, right? Still to this year, right? The beginning of the year, I ran into somebody that had no idea of what Game Pass was. And this is a gamer. This is a friend of mine that's a gamer. Still, and I'm like, do you not know? I've talked about this. And he's like, I didn't even know what you're talking about. And he's playing Elite Dangerous. He's playing.
He was like,
yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like, you're a PC guy and you still don't know about this stuff. And it's like, we've talked about this stuff. I've known you for how long? And it still didn't like sink into you about Game Pass. This is the thing is there's a lot of people that still are not paying attention to a lot of this other stuff. And if they're looking at scores and they're going, hey, I heard about this game, what's that score? Oh, it only scored this. I know when we were younger, when we were looking through the magazines, right? Electronic Gaming Magazine, right? Electronic Gaming Monthly. When we were looking at that, they had a main reviewer and then two other smaller reviews, little paragraphs to do that, right? And we would also, because you only got like a game or maybe two per year, when we were much younger. So we had to pick and choose. So we would always pick a game that was a 90 because it was much more guaranteed to be a good game for us. And we would never try anything else out. You'd go to Blockbuster and rent games. When did that become a big deal of renting games? I buy all my games. Well, we've always rented games. This is just another form of a rental. The narratives keep on changing. The narratives keep on altering the perspective, the perception of what this game is. And when you do that, you can kill a company. I mean, look, what was that company now that from Embracer Group, Vigilante or whatever that was called?
Oh, you're talking about
Yeah.
Volition.
Volition, yeah.
Volition
Yeah.
of
They just
Saints
So
Row.
sad.
the game, yeah. Some people actually like the game.
Yeah.
I didn't even try it out. I didn't bother. It didn't resonate with me. But
Yep.
unfortunately, this is the stuff that happens. I'm not saying that this is going to happen with Bethesda, but this is just one step.
You hurt the brand. Ultimately, you
Yeah.
hurt the brand.
You hurt the
And
jobs.
like I
yeah.
said, I know people are going to be like, well, it's only one review. It's the U.S.
more
version
than
of IGN. Listen, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I do want to continue to catch up with Super Chats, and we'll get Dusty's, some hot takes from him in a second. I just want to thank Sarcastic Taurus, who dropped, wow, man, a premium edition code for Starfield into the chat. If you did get one, please thank him, because that's $100 that he just donated. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
That's very kind of
That's
you,
what's
brother.
up,
Thank
Taurus.
you.
Yeah, shout
What's
out
that?
to him.
Yeah,
Sarcastic Taurus. Yeah.
I do remember
Um,
somebody got it. They did say that they collected it. I can't remember the person's name. I'm looking.
That's all right.
It's-
Don't
But
sweat
yeah,
it.
it's awesome that he did that. He didn't have
Yeah,
to
that's
do that.
that's
And
very,
it's
very generous of you, brother. Thank you so
awesome.
much for that. JFX88 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I had an issue leaving the starting planet to go to Atlantis. I somehow was wanted with no contraband and got attacked as soon as I jumped into orbit. I don't know if that's a glitch, dude, or
So that actually, I saw this because if you look at the different traits and characteristics that you can pick at the beginning of the game, there's a couple of them that make you a wanted person.
yes, that is correct.
So
Yeah.
so there's a possibility that it's one of the side effects of the traits you actually picked.
Yeah.
It could be a
careful
glitch,
with
but
that.
it could be, yeah.
That's what
You got to
that's
watch
what it
out.
sounds like. It sounds like the traits
Bethesda.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
because there's one where I
everything
think it
in.
basically
They
said
hold
like
everything.
any of those people, if you came across a certain group, like they would treat you as hostile right
They
off
would
the bat.
immediately. They
Yep.
absolutely would.
So-
Yeah. So,
so watch
check
out
the
for
traits, dude. Raiden Blade drops a very generous additional £5 super chat and says, "Boom, I'm not upset. Sony pays to block Xbox out of gaming industry, and IGN US is trying to damage Xbox brand out of the industry. Play fire with fire." Yeah, there's gonna have to be some repercussions. I'm sorry. X Wolverine Double X drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, IGN has been poop for years. Only Destin is reliable. Yeah, I like Destin a lot. 80s cartoon villain not only dropped 10 Double Barrel Gaming memberships during the show, he drops a ridiculous $50 super chat and says, is it bad that I'm on an awesome vacation in the Philippines, but all I can think about is missing out on early access of Starfield? Can't
No.
wait to begin my my reign of terror when I get back, meaning you're going to probably be a pirate. My brother's a pirate. He's stealing everything that's not nailed down. Keep up the great work, Boom, and the awesome Panda. Brother, thank you so much for the incredible generosity. And please, by all means, enjoy the H out of you. Have some great food. Some of their cuisine in the Philippines is magnificent. So make sure you eat yourself, not into a stupor, because obviously you don't want to do that, but enjoy yourself. Thank you so much for generosity. Jimbo Jangles, who, again, I showed everyone, if you missed it, he made this Thundercats controller for Mrs. Boom. It is amazing. He drops not one, but two $10 super chats. And the first one says this: when it comes to stuff like IGN trolls or just anyone trying to kill your hype or joy in something you love or looking forward to, I have a favorite saying. And the second super chat says, bees don't waste their time explaining to flies why honey is better than shit. The chef. I love it, dude. That's good for you, man. I appreciate that. It's very true. JD Gamer drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, let's not just talk about about bad IGN. Let's do something about it. Down with IGN as long as there's a Stapleton. Let's make that a trend on Twitter. Unsub, unfollow, block, and don't watch IGN. Punish them. And that's how you do it. Yeah, you know, you're not really hurting them with the dollar, you know, because you're not buying anything from them. But I definitely say, yeah, you unsubscribe and stuff. That's how you hurt them. JD Gamer drops, a couple of additional super chats. First one of $5 says, everyone on the panel should just do an unsub from IGN video so that the algorithm trends it. Unsub, unfollow, block, and don't watch IGN material. Punish them. We also have Gamers Play Hud Zero drops an additional $2 super chat. It's kind of funny, the place to go to get your game news. Yeah, I like Kind of Funny a lot. I like Greg Miller. I mean, he's a PlayStation guy. Nothing wrong with that. But they have an excellent Xbox podcast. They really do. Everyone on there. Gary Witt is fantastic. Pat Lily's fantastic. Xbox. Snowbike Mike is I mean, that guy is a rah Xbox guy. I like all three of them, and I like. And listen, I don't always
and
agree
they give
with
him
their
the
tastes.
smoke too, man. They really do. They give him the smoke. I'm just saying, like,
I do like what they did over there for the brand of Xbox. I do like, and again, I don't always agree with them, but they do their due diligence as members of the media to put out a good product for Kind of Funny, but as professionals put their best foot forward. You're not seeing that with IGN anymore. That's the problem. Elio Monterios drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, why are people comparing it to No Man's Sky? Every planet in No Man's Sky is practically the same with the same Funa. I don't get it. Yeah, I mean, there's some similarities, but it's really not a No Man's Sky's game. No Man's Sky is what it is. It does have somewhat of a campaign now. I don't know. It's certainly not as dense as this, not even close. But listen, don't worry about it. People are going to compare it. That's fine. Drawn TJ drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, there are mechs on Mars and my ship got jacked. Oh no.
He's been far.
Dude, you've been really far. Yeah, like that's awful. Chris Gomez drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, my daughter started at 8 p.m. ET WoW and played till 1. She's back at it now. That's the most useful review to this point. Thanks for your coverage for so many of the community voices. Thanks for making this channel special, brother. But thank you so much for the very kind words, and thank you for sharing that. I played from 8 till 2, got up at 6, went right back at it, took Mrs. Boom to work, came right back, went right at it before the show. So I got about a little over 6 hours. It's making that magnificent. Thank you, brother. Chris, definitely appreciate that. Dragon Heart Yobi, brother, what's going on, man? Happy Friday. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, when I first came on the scene, oh snap, it's me, gave me a platform to speak, and Boom was the second person to do so. Thank you so much, man. You were all appreciated, brother. Anytime you want to get back on here, just DM me. We'll get you right back on. I love you, and I think you're an amazing part of this community, and it's my honor to have given you, a platform, which is what I enjoy doing anyway. Matt Dash Gaming dropped a very generous $5 super chat and says, was IGN biased when they gave Forza Horizon Game of the Year or Hi-Fi Rush a 9 or Halo a 9 or praising of Game Pass or a summer showcase? This is silly. It's not. It's not. And I'm going to tell you why. Matt, first of all, brother, thank you for the generosity and thank you so much for being here. The reason why it's a problem is because Dan Stapleton specifically got in the way of Xbox reviewers because he holds a very high position. His stance on Xbox is proven. He has put it out there on Front Street. This isn't some sort of a fever dream that we're all sharing. The fact is, Dan Stapleton dislikes Microsoft and he dislikes Xbox. He has put it out there. I read it before. Okay, these are things that he has said publicly. His hot mic incident is legendary for cursing the F out of Xbox, not knowing his mic wasn't muted. This Dan Stapleton is who we thought he was, and he put it out there. And the reason why he's backpedaling, and maybe they're going to make the change. Maybe they're going to feel so much pressure because, like I said, numbers sell. If they lose 3 million, if they lose millions of subscribers over this, you're going to see the cowards that they are going to back off on this. And, well, we went back and we did a second review. If that happens, they're going to be known as IGN cowards because they're not, what they should have did from Jumpstart is in good faith reviewed it, and they didn't. He let console warring and potentially a pay stub get in the way of doing what was right. And when your other conglomerates of IGN are asking what the H is going on here, you have a problem. When you have emergency spaces and an emergency podcast unlocked, and then you put out there, oh, look, we like them. Look, we gave this game of the year. Shut up. And that's not to you, Matt. That's to IGN. Don't play a victim here. What you did was wrong. It was unprofessional. It was motivated. And what has gone on in the last couple of weeks with IGN is a disgrace. It's disgusting.
Can I add something to that real quick?
Please, by all means, jump in. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Matt, and just to bring more attention to this, I don't know if you caught us talking about it earlier, but Pixelbit G actually highlighted it in the chat earlier with Super Chat. He had mentioned the fact that Dan had actually come out and requested to do this to do this review.
Yes.
So here's what I would pose to you, right? He requested this interview. And then review. God, I don't know why I keep saying that. He requested the review. And then shortly after, like Boom was mentioning, once this was all done, he comes to Twitter and says, now that I'm done dealing with the Starfield review, I can get back to things I enjoy.
Yeah,
okay?
that's
so Matt, that's where this context comes from. And that's why this is a problem. And that's why he literally showed us his hand.
Yeah,
like,
those are fighting words.
He literally came out and said, I'm doing this one. And then he came out and was like, all right, now that it's done, I can do things I want to do again. You made this decision. You chose to come out here.
Well, Tim Dog tweeted at me and said, Boom, why did I know hours before the review went live that it was going to be a 7? Like, yeah.
That's so weird.
As soon as I heard that Dan Stapleton
Matt
was
Dash
involved,
Gaming's,
like,
he does say he enjoys the console. Matt, we're not mad at you, brother. You bring up a great point. It's an amazing point. Thank you for the generosity, and thank you for hanging out and giving your stuff. It's a finite point, but I hope that we explained why Dan Stapleton put himself out there. And here's all the evidence. Again, this isn't a fever dream that we're all sharing. Like I said moments ago, this is fact. This is what he did. He has now drew a line in the sand, and you can't go based on what they did. This is what he is. This is who he is. He put it out there. So, again, if they lose millions of subs, you're going to see they're going to change their review. They're going to be like cowards, and they're going to change their review. And if they do, well, I won't even, if they give it a 9 in 3 hours from now, it's not going to matter to me. They already showed their hand. I wouldn't watch on one of their podcasts if you told me you were going to fill my bank account with hundreds of dollars, because I'm not going to support that. If they're going to put out disingenuous content because they're getting paid under the table, or they have people in place that have preferences when the media is supposed to be unbiased, then you shouldn't support them either. We'll get to you right now, Dusty. Let me just continue with this Dean Rivera drops a very generous $5 super chat and says IGN even posted a 2-year-old tweet about Forza, trying to prove that they aren't biased because they gave it Game of the Year, and that's extremely pathetic. Indeed, the last two of the day come the way of Gamer by Choice. He drops a $2 super chat and says, some people's bonuses / jobs may be score based. Yeah, not for Bethesda though.
No.
You are right that
Yeah.
that does bonuses do happen, but I don't. It's not for Bethesda on this. I know that's an actual fact that Meta does give people bonuses. That's a confirmed fact. And P1553D drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, whoop, whoop, missed the show, but it's about to listen to it now. I'm sure it was a banger. I'm about to fire up Starfield while I listen, brother. Enjoy the show. And yeah, it was fire. Dusty, let's get your hot take on this. Anything else you want to add in regards to the shenanigans that's IGN, and what has been your experience so far with Starfield?
The only thing I wanted to say left on IGN that there is left to say is it comes down to one major question, and it goes with what Cypher had said earlier. Is it a state of bad takes or deliberately bad takes? And that is the biggest problem, and that is the biggest question we all deserve an answer to. Is this really just the work of a group of people that really just for some weird reason don't know any better, or is it what we all think it is, what we all believe it to be, intentional? So we need Mr. BoomStick XL to become Dick Tracy and do some investigating here. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Dick Tracy. Growing up, loved that game back in the day. But moving on from that, for Starfield, Dreadpool had said something earlier, and I was like, well, it's going to be even more with me. And he said he doesn't really like Bethesda games and whatnot. For me, I've never really played them. I mean, I've played Elder Scrolls Online. I've watched gameplay. I've watched other people play, but I've never really played them myself. So this is like the first time that I'm diving in to a Bethesda game by myself. At the same time, I am a gamer who is not good at staying focused during a single player story driven game at all whatsoever. Like, I suck immensely when it comes to that. So pause. But for this game in particular, I knew I wanted to play it the minute I found out about Starfield several years ago. And I knew that this was going to be a challenge for me because of those, self parameters, but it's space exploration. Like, I'm one of those players that's coming from a game like Star Trek Online. And even though that is an MMO and you can play online with other people, if you really think about it, I mean, I almost completed like my character progression, like Admiral or whatever the top level rank is. And I realized I was playing by myself the whole time. I was just happy to be in a world with other people, but I was doing all of it by myself. I wasn't doing any missions with anybody. So coming into Starfield, it's familiar because I'm a sci-fi head because of my dad and my family, to what Dreadpool said earlier, like, yeah, you see the Star Trek hat. And I know it was all jokes, but so everybody knows, my dad worked in the movie business. He's a post-production sound engineer, and
that's awesome, dude. I did not know that.
Thank you. Check out Web Dave's interview, everybody. But so, and me being a dancer, like, that's where I get it from. I get my ears from my father and my mom, who's also a musician. And with that being said, we grew up on everything. We grew up on Star Trek. We grew up on Star Wars. We grew up on Babylon 5. We grew up on Sequest. If you even remember Sequest, that was like,
oh my God,
Babylon 5,
yeah.
Babylon 5, but for being underwater.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I loved Sequest. Oh, I was
people
so
are
mad
going to
when
be
it
in the
got
chat.
canceled.
They're like, "What do you see? What? What?
Like,
what? Sea of Stars? What?"
Dusty just showed his age. Oh God, no. Yeah, no. I'm way older than I look. But I grew up on all of it. My dad, was a member of the Academy, so we would get like for your consideration movies and TV shows in the mail every year. So we were watching anything and everything that was sci-fi. Interstellar, oh my God, is one of my all-time favorite movies.
That's a banger.
Oh my God, like even the classics, like it's just all of it. That's how it's always been. So for playing Starfield, I was like, this is going to be a single player adventure for me, but I'm ready. And this time around, when I'm live streaming it, I'm not going to be completely alone. And that was usually a big problem for me when I was first streaming was I want to play these single player games, but nobody's watching. And so I'm really alone and I just could not focus. My ADHD would kick in like 5 seconds later. And now it's like, I got some friends in the community. So there was people hanging out with me last night. Dreadpool, thank you so much for being there. I think Silent stopped through. Tom from, Toonami, Poison Maniac, my mods, my boy Ben stopped through, Dopamine Fix. So it was really cool to have that engagement, and I was just enjoying the game. Now, let's be honest, this is my first time in-depth experience with a Bethesda game like this, and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I didn't even realize I kept doing the main quest line. I thought I was just doing the intro tutorial until I realized, and Tom from Toonami was like, yo, so I'm about to dip because I don't want to get spoiled for the story. I was like, oh my God, my bad, bro. I was like, no, wait, stay. But I'm just enjoying what I'm doing so far. I am starting to get a little sidetracked, which is funny. Like I was walking around, I got to New Atlantis and I ended up joining Vanguard. I was like, F it. He just kept asking me and the notification kept popping. I was like, fine, I'll just do it.
The UC, dude, did you do the first mission for the UC yet?
Was it the one with the morph thing? Yeah, that I might have gotten a little scared on stream. Let's not talk about it.
Dude, don't feel bad. The minute you land on the planet, because let me paint the picture for you. We're not gonna no spoilers here, but this is how they get you. This is how each experience is so well handcrafted.
Mm-hmm.
You land, you come out. It's pitch black. It's piss and rain. It's lightning. It's thunder.
It looks beautiful.
Walk up. Right, you walk up to the cliff and you see where you have to go. It's like this base, and all you hear from behind you is this screech. And if you're wearing headphones, you're like, it makes you jump, and it's this giant screech, and you're like, oh shit, that thing sounds huge. And when you get down there, there's blood everywhere. There's nobody left alive. Whatever it is, everyone's been decimated. And there's one person like, hey, are you here to help? I'll let you in and I'll lock the door behind you. You're like, oh, shit. Now we're in it.
So I could be wrong. But in my playthrough, I have to watch my stream back now that you brought this up. But when I landed, I don't know if I had a scream. Because I was walking around. I have to double check and go back, but I don't think in my playthrough I had a scream because I saw the rain and everything. I went out of my ship. I was like enjoying what I was seeing because I think I was finally on the planet that I saw in the trailer footage, the direct footage that I was like, I want to go to this planet because I saw the lightning and I was like, yeah, this is the one. But I don't think I had that initial screech, but there was a moment later where it was like I had to activate the different boxes. And so it was like, don't get caught, don't get seen. I think that's when I had the scream. And I was like, it was different for me.
To change a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, it was great. This game is wonderful so far. Oh my God, the landscapes are just the details of like everything you're seeing when you're walking around, right? And then the landscapes when you go through by the shops, when you walk past people, when you're walking through one of like the underpass bridges and they just have like a little, don't slip or don't walk here, you might slip cone on the side with a little trash by it. It just, all of the detail is amazing to me. It's wondrous. I am about, I want to say 5.5 hours in. My gamer tag might say different, but I was using some of the start screen for my stream. So disregard some of those hours. I like the background, so I wanted to use it. But I'm about 5 hours in, and like I said, so far I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm enjoying that aspect. I chose Bounty Hunter. I wanted the boost pack from the jump.
That's what Bounty Hunter also. I'm basically a Mandalorian is what I am at this point.
And with that being said, for anybody that was watching the stream last night can attest that I have no idea what I'm doing. And when they said that this game tells you stuff, but really doesn't tell you a lot, and you got to figure it out on your own, they were not lying. Because for somebody like me, I do need notifications to pop up. I do need a tutorial explainer because I'm not going to get it. But the cool thing that I like about this game is it didn't take me 5 years to figure out something so simple. I mean, there was one thing I couldn't figure out where I felt like it took forever. But once I figured it out, I was like, okay, yeah, I feel stupid. But when I think about the past and how I've played other games like this, I mean, I can't even say that because there's no game like this, but you know what I mean. I get very frustrated when I play alone because there's things that are so simple that I should feel like I should be able to figure out. And when I can't, I get frustrated. I don't rage quit or throw my controller or anything, but I do get frustrated. And some games can put me off because of that frustration. You know, if they try to explain something too complex without an actual explainer and tutorial, it's like, why did you do it this way? You know, if you wanted everybody to play this game. So for Starfield, the fact that I was just kind of able to be like, oh, okay, it's this, and oh, okay, it's that, and go over here and do that. Oh, I figured it out, blah, blah. I love that aspect. You know, you could say I'm a casual gamer, or you could say I'm like Pong, where I'm a grazer, you know, that's fine. But with Starfield, I plan on playing this, coming back to it for years, like I did with Star Trek Online. You know, I played Star Trek Online over the course of like 7 to 8 years, maybe. Wow, and that's how I progressed as far as I did. It wasn't consistently all at one time, but it was over the course of that time. And that's how I enjoyed the game. So for Starfield, I want it to be that way for me. Like, I'm going to stream it probably again, maybe today or tomorrow, but sometime this weekend I'm streaming it again. But nice. Now I want to start getting into the aspect of like stealing some ships. You know, I want to venture out into space and meet some people.
I'm trying to 100% scan my first planet. I'm at 86% and I have one spot to go to. I'm not leaving until I do it.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't even gotten into scanning yet. Like I said, I really don't know what I'm doing, but from a player like me, for that aspect, anybody who is on the fence about this game, don't be. If you are into sci-fi, if you are into open world, if you have wanted to see the stars interpreted in a much more grand way and scale around you, this is the game for you. If you want an in-depth story, if you want an RPG where you could just live your life, do whatever the hell you want to do, right? We all kept saying it. This is the game for you. I have to recommend it, you know, and I'm somebody who gets turned off by single player games a lot of the time, and I'm having a blast. So whether anybody's in the chat or not, if anybody's in the chat or not, I don't care. I'm going to be playing Starfield. I'm going to be stealing ships, creating ships. Oh, and by the way, the ship builder, I was testing it a little bit on stream last night. It took me a while to figure some mechanics out, but after playing with it, I really enjoy the ship builder. I encourage everyone to try it.
I have not even gotten there. I cannot wait to experience it. But listen, folks, I want to say this. This is the freaking longest podcast that we've had, I think, in years. Like, it's
my apologies if I went on too long.
No, not at all. We're glad to have you here and get your point. Listen, we've already did everyone's outro, but we definitely want to do Dusty's. Dusty, obviously, tell the people where they can come and check out these Starfield streams you're going to do on Twitch, where people can subscribe to your YouTube channel, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
So everybody can find me at the same place, the Dusty Uno. That's the Dusty Uno on YouTube. I do have a Twitch and Kick that is the Dusty Uno as well, but I'm not really using them right now for reasons. So when I'm doing these live streams, I will be live streaming directly from YouTube on the same channel at the Dusty Uno. I figured just make it easier for everybody instead of having to go to different platforms. Also, what I plan on doing with Starfield are doing like gameplay episodes, but rather than recording them and posting them later, I'm going to be doing them live. So I encourage everybody to be there, join me for the shenanigans, the rides, the confusions, and all of the mess. And other than that, you can find me on the X, formerly known as Twitter, because X gonna give it to you. And that's also at the Dusty Uno. And please shoot me a message, follow me. I try to respond and be as personable as I can. Yep. And let's talk some gaming, and let's get to know each other in the community.
Nice, brother. Real quick, Joe Dunmore drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, just picked up the Constellation Edition from Best Buy, but
Nice.
unfortunately, he has to work in a few hours. Dude,
Nice.
let me see. Let me bring up the watch for you to see. The watch is, where's my camera? It is so nice, dude. It is awesome. It's a quality watch.
Oh, for anyone who, sorry, not to interrupt, but on the case of the watch, for anyone who couldn't get the collector's edition, if you have Android and you have a Galaxy Watch,
yes, you can download it.
Get it. I have it.
Yeah.
It's great. Just get it.
Yeah, I have a ton of faces that I actually made myself, and I also downloaded the other one. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, thank you so much for hanging out. Big shout out to Crispy Bomb, Dreadpool, and of course Cypher for hanging around. I would have just hung out with Dusty, but I'm glad everyone stayed and everyone able to interject even more opinions on the stupidity known as Dan Stapleton of IGN and the shenanigans. And of course, everyone has a great, hopefully you're enjoying Starfield. Maybe some of you are even playing Starfield as you're listening. We had over 600 people here on a Friday morning. That's a big deal for a small channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, hanging out. Thank you for all of the super chats. My God, there was so many of them. A couple of new channel members. Thank you so much for that. And listen, folks, we're not going to hold you up anymore. I'm heading over to play some Starfield like everyone on this panel. Enjoy the game, regardless of what reviews are. But if someone is reviewing a game and you feel that they are doing a disservice to your platform, to your brand, do what Dusty said. Unsubscribe, unfollow, get out there on Front Street and at them and tell them you have a distaste for them. Because I'm telling you right now, the controversy for this IGN poorly reviewed game is not over. Because it happened yesterday, there are going to be ramifications. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they even changed the review. Not that it's going to matter to me. I'm not going to care because they already showed their true colors. But I think that they're going to wind up buckling like the cowards that they are. I say that with with full authority. I'm sorry. I owe no one at IGN. I will respect them, to the people that I like from IGN, but I don't owe IGN, the brand or the company, a damn thing. Just like they don't owe me anything. What they do owe their consumers that support their brand is honesty. And Dan Stapleton did not give that yesterday, which is with his 7 out of 10. With that said, folks, I want to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.